Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, my God, tonight on Hollywood After Dark, we're going to talk about when pop culture justice goes wrong. Folks, if you've been paying attention, oh Lord, what you might have heard today or seen today might open your eyes to a little man known as Andy Signore. And we're going to be talking about it and a whole hell of a lot more here tonight, Hollywood After Dark. My God. I've seen things, folks. I've stared into the abyss and the abyss stared back. Let's fucking go. Howdy, 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 everybody. Welcome to the party. Welcome to the show. Hope everyone out there is having a fantastic day. If you've had a nice Sunday, if you have had a very calm and relaxing weekend, if you've been enjoying Black Panther Wakanda Forever, or in my case, I just got done rewatching Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, which, man, I forgot how much I love that movie. It's super good. Probably my favorite out of Phase 4 thus far, although Phase 4 is officially over, so it is my favorite out of Phase 4. I was not necessarily prepared for the horrors that lied within a stream that just went live a couple of hours ago. My friend Saggy Melons, you guys know her. She's on here quite often. She got her hands on some information. That's where this particular screenshot came from. I will be talking about that information after we get through the rest of the news. The thing I want to point out in the very beginning of all of this, just as a nice little casual reminder to a person out there who might be a little bit on the litigious side, no, I am not going to be showing the video. And no, I am not the one who leaked it. I only know about it after it was leaked out there. So good luck going on anything that's about, leaking of private information, because I ain't got none of that. Just want to make sure that's abundantly clear to the guy in the back. You guys know what I'm talking about here. This, of course, again, we will be getting into this particular thing very soon here. Joining me now is Saggy Melons, the woman of the hour. How goes it, Saggy? Can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you, yes.
Oh, hello.
Hi. I didn't know when you were going to be here, so I prepped everything for the end of the stream. We can start at the beginning. That's perfectly fine. If people out there want to know what's going on.
I'm not trying to stay up too late because I'm like, oh my God, this whole thing. Jesus.
So for those of you, why don't you, you know what, Saggy, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to play your little teaser that you popped earlier today. And I do want to play your other teaser that you played during the stream, because I think that's really good. But this is a nice little tease, if you will, for what we kind of experienced today. There we have it, folks. The Weird World of Andy Signore, Part 2. And what a weird world it is. You know what I'm saying? What an absolute weird world Mr. Signore lives in. You know what I mean? And Saggy, you've been kind of paying attention now for a while with the, people have talked to you about Andy. I have my own history with him, which we'll get to that here in a few minutes. Let me just get my whole thing prepped because it was at the end of my slideshow. But this is one of the most haunting screenshots I've ever seen, to be fair, right? This is just okay, you know what? I'll show another one. This came from your other video, just of what we're kind of dealing with here tonight.
Which
of course,
one?
This shot right here. This is from your little thing. Just look at the dead eyes. The dead eyes of that man. And this is from a video that you got told about, right?
Right, for a while. It was a lot of rumors for a while, yeah.
Yeah, so before we get into that, not everyone out there knows who Mr. Andy Signore is. I think we need to do a little bit of a history lesson for those out there who may not know who he is. So we have to go all the way back to literally October of 2017, just over 5 years ago, when Andy Signore was accused of sexual abuse and harassment while working at Screen Junkies. This is being reported by The Hollywood Reporter on October 6th, 2017. He was the second guy to get Me Too'd behind Harvey Weinstein. A lot of people think it was Harvey Weinstein and then Kevin Spacey, but you got to fit Andy Signore in there. And that's the thing. He was the second guy to get Me Too'd. According to this article here, which does have outdated information, by the way, I just want to preface with that. It says Andy Signore, the creator of popular YouTube series Honest Trailers, is being accused of sexual abuse. Two accusers who say one says she was a former intern for Signore, posted on social media Friday that he used his position to try and prey on women. Emma Bowers wrote in a Twitter post that she chose to speak up now in the wake of an investigation from the New York Times accusing producer and studio exec Harvey Weinstein of sexual abuse with actress and employees. Weinstein issued an apology after the story broke. He was taking a leave of absence, blah, blah, blah. Bauer said that when she worked as an intern for Andy, he made inappropriate comments about masturbating to photos of her. I think we need to kind of take that into account, Saggy, don't you think? Little bit of a modus operandi here, right?
Yeah.
Little bit of a thing he likes to do, apparently. And so when asked her to come over so he could do that in person, she tried to play it off like a joke. Or she says he tried to play it off like a joke. So he was accused 5 years ago of asking a woman to come over and watch him masturbate to her. And you know what? After listening to your stream today, some light bulbs went off, which is why I wanted to go back and find this article. However, the other accusation was from a woman named April who had claimed physical abuse. That was actually disproven, and Andy came out back 2 years later, like a year and a half after this, really, with this Me Too misfire video, and and was able to proclaim his innocence over those particular accusations. But he did acknowledge that he was a bad boy, and that he had a lot of growing to do, and he had learned his lesson and things like that. And this is right around the time I met Andy. I was introduced to him around this time.
Right.
And I was introduced to him from Louis Lecca. And you know what? I felt for Andy. I really did. I was going through my own cancellation at the time. Definitely not for anything like this. But you know what it is? When you're in these situations, Saggy, you end up kind of meeting other canceled people.
Right.
So him and I got to talking a little bit, and I believed him. I believed that he was outright a victim of false accusations, and he was a victim of all this stuff. And then, of course, we find out at this point that that's not true on all of it, because the sexual abuse stuff, yes, he didn't do. The harassment stuff, I don't know about that, because Andy has got a little bit of a history when it comes to trying to get people to shut up and things that he has done threat-wise, which is why I want to talk for a second here about, this is a thumbnail of a video I made a couple years ago, I Heart Extortion. He wasn't happy with me for posting this, but I want you guys to see why I talked about this. And this is when Max the Mandalorian, who comes on the show frequently, was having beef with Andy, and somebody had impersonated me in the live stream where Andy was live over on Popcorn Planet, and this is what he had to say.
Over it, Matt. Leave me the fuck alone. You're starting to freak me out. It's obsessive.
It's scary. It's scary, isn't it?
It is legitimate, like single white female. Like, dude, move on. He's like Max the Mandalorian. Do I gotta we gotta dig up some dirt on him to sort of scare him to shut up too? I don't understand. Like, stop.
I am in possession of Mad Max's face behind the mask.
Uh-oh.
I am issuing a warning to this man. Not just his face behind the mask, but also details about things he doesn't want known.
I want to go. I'm going on record. I don't know anything about this.
Yes, he does not.
He's like Max the Mandalorian. Do I gotta we gotta dig up some dirt on him to sort of scare him to shut up too? I don't understand.
I want to go. I'm going on record. I don't know anything about this. Jody, Matt Jarbo went on a stream saying I doxed him and gave dude. I don't support that. I don't give if this guy's private information.
Right.
At the same time, he's come at you and me, to be honest, really hard.
We got to dig up some dirt on him to sort of scare him to shut up too. I don't understand.
Yeah, dude, Andy, I have nothing against.
Yeah, the rest of that's a Nicholas DiOrio video, because Nicholas very kindly put that together. And Saggy, you remember all of that going down?
I do actually. Remember that. I'm getting something for you.
Sure. It's one of those things where, again, when you talk about someone like Andy Signore, when you talk about all the things that he has definitely run away from and claims that he has not done, this guy, in my personal opinion, is a absolute predator. He's an absolute predator amongst people who are victims. He likes people who can think that he himself is a victim, and he uses that to wiggle his way into those kind of communities. And sadly, he uses people like Louis Lecca, who was a friend of mine, to act as a wingman for him, to act as more or less like a facilitator, a recruiter almost, if you will, because Louis absolutely hangs on every single thing that Andy does. And it doesn't matter what Andy's involved in. Louis will, in my opinion, again, never, ever, ever walk away from him. What I don't understand is, and I don't know if Vito Gasoldi is here. Vito's a friend of mine. Vito works with Andy. Vito knows how I feel about Andy. But what I don't understand about this is when you cannot sit there and criticize other people for how they treat others, especially if you're going to be, I don't know, attempting to meet Johnny Depp and getting Johnny Depp to talk to you and record a message, and you get to tell Johnny Depp that you're an abuse survivor and that you have your own Amber Heard and all of those things. None of those we believe are even remotely true at this point. But that is Mr. Signore in a nutshell leading up to this particular moment. So Saggy, do you want to you know what? I'm going to play the full clip of what you sent me.
Wait, real quick. Check your DM, because that's a conversation that I had with Andy when in regards to the whole the doxing Max situation. Because he said he didn't know
on Insta or on
group DMs on Twitter.
Okay, group DMs. Okay.
So
right,
when he said that he didn't know anything about it, he told me something different. So I wanted to show that yes, he did know, and that's why I called him a liar, because he said he didn't know anything about it, but he told me where they allegedly got Mad Max's face reveal, and that was the conversation he told me when we had the discussion.
Yeah, he says, I heard that someone sent Max's face photo via email to people, and it was someone who Max is friends with and is possible still friends with to this day. Any idea who it is? Andy says Bruce Wayne sent it. And then he says, because if that's true, someone really sent the photo to Max and still associated, need to expose that. And that's Saggy asking him on that one. But we heard in the video clip that we need to dig up dirt on him, meaning me, like we did with Mad Max. And that is something that I think is one of the worst Freudian slips I've ever come across in any of the bullshit on the internet. And that to me is just really, really interesting that we know that this guy is full of shit, right? Like, and I want to show you guys this too. So in that video that I made about the extortion, this was his comment to me. All right. He said, and I pinned it too. He says, you slander me in this video and title. The only examples you share are Jody and his friends. Dude, you've lost it. This is slanderous and filled with lies. I never doxed you or anyone. I never gave your number to Ralph. I never asked my fans to dig up shit on you. I prove I did any of that. You can't, because I didn't. Stop lying. You are obsessed. You make these videos and poke us because it's the only content that gets you views. To which case I responded by saying, Andy, your words and your own actions prove how disgusting of a human being you are. You constantly gaslight people. I know exactly what kind of person you are. And of course, Andy has tried on multiple occasions to get people to come after me. All right. Mm-hmm.
And we've known that for a while. I actually am hopefully after this, I'm going to just say, I hope that I'm going to get confirmation of that. I will just say that for now.
Yeah.
Because I thought that this would be it, but it's not over.
It's never over, Saggy. It's never over. So here is you put together a little funny parody that that works out pretty well, and this one
You're gonna
is
get copyright claim probably for the
that's
song.
perfect. I get them all the time, Saggy. I get them all the time.
As long as you know.
I know. Yeah, if you know, you know, and you know that sometimes it's worth getting. It's just sometimes absolutely worth getting. So this is the little video that Saggy put together, and I honestly think it's one of the go on that one. Honestly, that is one of the funniest goddamn memes I've ever seen. It really, really, really is. And I think it showcases exactly what kind of person he is. This is a guy that, you know, he left the Raven here for a $2 super chat. Thank you very much, Raven. Really appreciate that. Raven here has a lot of info on Andy herself. She's dealt with him personally and dealt with his bullshit, you know, and so thank you very much for the support on that one, Raven. I think the thing to consider here is that, again, Andy, what I hate about this the most, all right, and this is just how I am as a person. I fucking despise abusers. I really do. Right. And I know the internet is rife with them. I know the internet absolutely has a lot of people that are, you know, they use it as a way to gain these communities and then to build off of that. And then they end up like just becoming cult leaders. You know, we talk about this. We joke about cult type stuff, you know, like when talking about like Syl and Mikey over there with the Syl Nation and the Scoop stuff. And you hear the guys last night and they're just all like, you know, hey, Mikey, man, you changed my life for like what? Talking to a guy who like writes for a website. It's just people, I don't get it personally. I don't get it, but I really don't like people who take advantage of others. I really don't like that.
Same. And I will just clarify because I want to make it clear because I think there's some confusion. It's a parody. Andy did not send it to me. That was not
Andy. No, it's I don't know the full story on that. Yeah,
aside from his clip and his face, the rest of that stuff was all in the beginning. That was all edited.
There, I'll get that off the screen for people out there who are worried about dealing with Andy Signore and looking at that image as being horrifying. And you know what? I completely understand that. Look, the thing is the video in question is him. It's him masturbating, right? It's him. Let's be honest here. I have to, and I know you were using the term allegedly. I don't know. I haven't seen the video. I haven't seen. I guess the word I could use here, I haven't seen his anatomy. And I'm glad about that, to be fair. I don't need more nightmares in my life.
I'm not.
You know, so you're confirming you've seen the anatomy?
I've seen the unedited. I had to edit the video. Of course I saw it.
Okay, so you saw, so there's no allegedly. If you've seen it, he is masturbating in the video.
Yes, he is.
Okay. So, I mean, at least if we could define by the general rules of the Geneva Convention in regards to masturbation, there we have it. And the person,
masturbation, I guess. I mean, I don't know.
I think we need to use a clinical term. For one, it's funny to say it. It just seems weird to go like he was pleasuring himself.
Maybe he was just peeing and he just shook a little.
Did you see
pee?
Times. Was it just was there any?
It was hard to see.
Okay. It was hard to see. That's a nice use of phrase there, Sagi. I guess the question I have, and I know this is a total Howard Stern type question, I guess, but like, you know, he didn't finish, did he? Because like that would be like the worst.
No.
Okay, no. Good. There are some things in this world that you cannot unsee, right? Like Andy Signore finishing in a video would like 2 Girls 1 Cup would pale in comparison to that, in my professional opinion.
Right, but I want to say too, like no one's ever gonna see that like in its full unedited version. No one's ever gonna see that. That's not gonna be released anywhere.
It'd be a war crime.
Like I said, the only reason why it was even shown was, for one, I wanted to make a funny video and I thought that was pretty hilarious, but also a lot of people on the internet require proof, so sometimes words aren't enough. So like I had to like find a way to show it that like it exists. Like I know he knows it exists, but like obviously we're dealing with, you know, letting people know that this is happening. So I try to do it as tastefully as possible. And I you guys know me, I like to be funny. So I try to do it in a funny way so that it's like, yes, this exists. This is real. This is not somebody just saying it was sent and there's no proof. But I also wanted to make sure that it was, you know, tasteful, and it wasn't, you know, I don't want to release that for people to see. Like that's
yeah. That's right. I mean, look, there comes a time when you can go too far with it, right? Like we've seen this in other cases, like Pro Jared, you know, like where he had his images leaked out there. He had done nothing wrong at the end of the day, but people didn't care. They ran with it. And I personally would not want my junk out there being shown to the world. It's nothing.
And I don't want his out there. Yeah. And I don't want his out there. That's
because like that can be, because the thing is, it's like you know, society would view, society looks at penises like they look at fruit. If that's like the best analogy I can come up with, is like, you ever go to the grocery store and you see all the nicely laid out fruit, you know, and like we have this very definition of what a good like a good apple looks like, or a good banana or cucumber, things like that. And then you find out that like 70% of all fruit is thrown away because it doesn't meet those beauty standards.
Right.
And so, I mean, but we kind of have the same mentality when it comes to penises, because penises are largely disgusting, but half the population has them. So, you know, when people out there watch adult entertainment, they have a very unique idea of what it's supposed to look like. And so, yeah, if it doesn't match that, people can be shamed for it. And we don't want that. We don't want that. Andy's a bad person, in my opinion. He's a horrible person. I have many examples of that. Not only did he try to get you to come after me, he tried to get Paul to come after me. Funny thing is we found all that out, then we became friends.
Right.
You know, so it's like, maybe you shouldn't try to get your audience or people you know to come after other people who have done nothing wrong.
Exactly. And that's what I mean. It's like, you know, in the beginning when I started, like when I met him, even with Matt, I barely knew Matt when I met Andy. So like there were moments where like I didn't know Matt, I didn't know Andy, but it felt like Andy was trying to get me involved with his old history with Matt, where he was trying to explain it to me to paint Matt as a bad person. I was like, listen, I barely know this dude. Like, I barely know Matt. I don't know why. Like, he was trying to like warn me about you. And like, it felt uncomfortable when I did that stream, that the first time I had you on my channel, that he was, put me in a group chat with Paul to get like, feed me dirt that he, he thought he had on you, or like try to get you in gotchas. And I felt uncomfortable. And that's when Paul jumped on the stream. So I realized like that was an uncomfortable situation, but I kind of let it like slide, because I was like, well, maybe I don't know the history between you two, so I didn't want to like just jump the gun, because you know me, man, I associate with everybody and I always give people a chance. But like once I started realizing there's something up, I like backed off. Like I was like, all right, I'm good. Like he unfollowed me because he got sketched out that I joined a stream of a YouTuber that I didn't even know he knew. I didn't find out till I was in the backstage of that YouTuber stream that he had history with Andy, and he found me from that stream that you were on. And that's when I was just like, all right, clearly the dude's paranoid. I'm not going to say nothing. But it wasn't until I saw how he was, with, his former friend Lunga, and then what happened with Paul. And Paul was my breaking point, where I was like, all right, this dude's kind of a scumbag. And I didn't even know like how bad it was. I just thought he was a dick, and I just called him out for being a dick, right? That's all I thought I was doing. And then when I found out, I heard the rumors about him not changing his ways, I was like, well, somebody's got to come forward, because it's like I can't really do much with that, and then once people start coming forward, I was like, all right, I guess this is actually happening, like,
Yeah, no, like I've largely tuned out of Andy recently. Like I know he's done his stuff, and I'm like, okay, whatever. But like when I had heard that he had been soliciting women like this, I was, I did recall the original Hollywood Reporter article with the accusations, and I'm just like, this is his MO. This is what he does. This is, he finds women that he believes he can, in fact, again, my opinion, that he believes, in my opinion, that he can get to facilitate this particular, sexualized request. And then he does it. Now, I don't know the specifics of how it all came to be, but if it's getting out there, I don't think this is like necessarily a scorned lover situation, because there's too many repeating aspects of it that point to a pattern rather than an anomaly. And that's kind of where I view all this stuff. And I know that there has been a number of women over the years that have come forward talking about their experiences with him. And it always seems to line up with manipulation tactics and things like that. Mm-hmm. And then you kind of like, I don't want to say it's like a NXIVM cult type situation, because it's definitely not like that. Like no one's branding each other with Popcorn Planet logos yet. Although anything could happen. It is still 2022. But I would say like, you have people like Lewis and people like Steph who come across as the protector of the guard, that they come across as like the lieutenants in this particular thing. They protect Andy for a reason I'm still trying to wrap my brain around.
It's because he's a big content creator, and he's spreading the wealth to his trusted people who he can, as he gives, he can take away. And I think what it is like the biggest problem I started seeing when like some of these women were talking about their experience was that, he keeps playing the victim. Like, he got his entire community to believe that he was the same as Johnny Depp. And that's when I think a lot of the women were just like, oh, hell no. Like, how are you going to sit there and say that you were a victim because you got canceled and one woman lied about you? That, like, you can sit here and say that you're on the same level as Johnny Depp. And then when you meet Johnny Depp, you lie to his face. And then if that's kind of like the breaking point where it's like, you haven't changed. You're still doing this to people. And they don't know. They don't know. Like, they know the history, but they thought that, oh, well, he got lied about, so he's not bad. And, he's just innocent, broken man who was hurt and stuff. So they empathize with him. And that's just what I saw as, like, taking advantage of these vulnerable people.
Well, yeah, and I completely agree with you. Jaro here asked a question if the video could be for his wife. No.
No, because in the video, like, it's muted audio, but in the part where you see him talking, you can see him actually mouth out the girl's name. Her name is Britt, or Brittany, and you can see him mouth like if you hear the audio, he specifically does say her name. It's not his wife's name. It is another woman's name. He says her name.
Yeah. I mean, and if you look, I'm not going to bring up any images of his family. Obviously, that's a step too far, nor will I say their name. But he does post about them pretty frequently on social media. I mean, obviously, he's presenting an image of a happily engaged family man who's looking after a stepdaughter and two sons. And that is something where you're like, I mean, that's a lie. It's a fabrication. It's completely fake. And like what bothers me is like, so I've got my 2 kids, and I have my 2 daughters, and I love them more than anything. And I'm like, the last thing I would ever want to do is put them in a position to where they're going to pay for my sins. If you want to, understand, like if I'm making sense on that one, or I'd want to do anything to damage their life or drag them into something. I mean, I understand that the people out there have, not every relationship is perfect and people do make stupid, whatever. I get that. But I feel in this particular scenario, what we're looking at is just repeat pattern. And it's one that I think, more women might come forward, I think. I hope, I guess, to find out how deep this thing goes. Because there's rumors, Saggy. There's been rumors for a while, but like never anything like this that I've seen. And what I don't understand is like, how is it that, for someone who tags his fiance on Instagram can like gallivant around like this without, I mean, like it's just, there's some balls there to do that. You know what I'm saying?
Right. And that's like the thing that really, really makes me like so mad about this. It's like, you already got canceled, Me Too'd basically for this before. Why are you continuing to do it? I just don't understand why he didn't learn from his past mistakes. It's like, dude, you have something going. Why would you even risk that for a second just to get it wet? Like, it makes no sense. Just, I'm not knocking him for his content. I think his content is good. I think that he has a good thing over there, and I'm glad that he was growing and doing well. But it's like, it's based on fabrication, basically, in my opinion. Because if you're still doing the same crap that you've been doing that you got canceled for before, like, I don't understand why you would risk that.
Ego. I mean, okay. So like, here's how I view it, right? So first off, I just want to answer a thing. I see we have Brittany joining us. Thank you very much for being here, Brittany. Really appreciate that. The thing I want to point out though is, I lost the comment there. More or less, when it comes to Andy, my take on it is this: when he got canceled, he felt that it was unfair, and he wanted nothing more than to claw his way back to being in that space. And I think he clawed his way back to being in a space where he had access to far more prey than before. And he's just acted out the way that he did. That's my take on it. But Britt, thank you very much for being here. It's been a bit of a day for you, I would assume.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I was pretty nervous. It's kind of a scary thing to do.
Sure. I've dealt with him. Saggy's dealt with him. We understand. But I think the best thing, my personal belief is the best thing you can do is speak your truth and try to warn other people from falling into a very similar situation.
Yeah, that's the main goal. I do hope it helps other people, and that the word spreads more and more, because Andy has such a huge following, and like you said, Steph and Lewis are like his lieutenants, his guards, and
Yeah.
defend him on everything. So it's just scary to me that he keeps doing this and he keeps getting away with it.
Well, I don't know the limit of what I can ask, and so I'm going to try to tread as carefully as I possibly can, because the last thing I want to do is make you uncomfortable. My curiosity is like, because I've dealt with Andy, I know like he can be charming, and you kind of feel bad for him. He's got that like schlubby kind of energy at times.
Yes.
And you just feel like, oh, this is a guy like down on his luck. Like when I met him, and he's like, I didn't do what they said I did, and me at the time, I had been canceled for flagging channels, and people just made up lies about me, and they made up a lot of lies about me. So like I kind of resonated with the energy, and Lewis had introduced us, and so Lewis knew my story, and I figured if Lewis is introducing us, then clearly he believes Andy, and so I have trust in Lewis, so I will put trust in Andy. And that was my first mistake, was doing that. But like I'm because Andy and I definitely have not had that dynamic in regards to a sexual thing, because that would just be awkward. Mm-hmm. But when him and I had our falling out, like he because he started DMing me, and it was like he rapid DMs, and then he took it to text message. And I'm curious if he's done that when you guys started like having your fallout, or things started distancing, if that's how he tried to get you back in his corner.
Yes. I mean, it's almost manic the way he would just come at you and like gaslight you and bully me. But yes, that's exactly what he does. He just keeps messaging you to get his way, I guess, is what you can say.
Let me ask you, because one of the things he said to me was like, everyone told me you were a bad person, and I believed, I was there for you. I backed you when no one else would. Those kind of manipulation tactics. Has he ever done anything similar like that to you?
Yes, I would just say calling me the source of all his troubles, and the way he said that, but then he'd blame Shadow and say it was her fault. And then he also used to use this tactic on me. It was like, oh, you kind of like build me up to take it down later. But, oh, you're such an important part of the community, and everybody loves you. And just to kind of, I think, give me that ego boost to keep me close.
Yeah. Yeah, he does. What with me, he did the opposite of that, which was like everyone, because at the time, people were trying to go at him for I guess you could say defending me or whatever, and so he would come back and say that like, oh, I was your friend, I was doing this, I was doing that, and like trying to get me to acquiesce. And here's a funny thing too, is what we were fighting about was he had attacked someone with like 100 Twitter followers because the guy called him a sexual abuser. And I understand being frustrated at the guy saying it, but he went to his audience and he told his audience to look into this guy and to dive into him, and I thought that was a step too far. I was like, this is like, come on. I'm like, I told him be better. And that's all I said to him. And then he ended up like just coming at me. And when he called me a bully, which I thought was the really funniest thing, I immediately disengaged our conversation. And that's when I was like, let's just unfollow each other and be done with it. And that's when he went to my phone and started texting me like a jilted ex. So, he definitely does things to try and I gaslight you. A lot of gaslighting is one of the things I've noticed that he does. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, you're fine. You can go ahead. I was just going to say he's very pushy and persistent. I mean, when he first started coming on to me, I was like, haha, oh, thanks. But he would almost, like you were mentioning how he tries to make you feel guilty and you feel sorry for him. He's like, oh, are you not attracted to me? And no, I wasn't. But I mean, I didn't want to say, no, I don't find you attractive.
Yeah. I get, you want to let him down easy. You don't want to be like, listen here, Shrek, I ain't your Fiona. All right. Like, back off. you know.
Shrek, I'm not your Fiona. God damn.
Listen, I'm a portly, rotund American man too, okay? Andy and I share a lot in common in regards to being fat, bearded white dudes, okay? I get it. I can say it. It's my joke. Anyway, no, I get all that. Now, like, I'm kind of curious, like, how you guys ended up in this situation. Like, was it just like, because I've heard rumors through the grapevine, obviously, and it almost feels like, does he like, I've heard that there are other women that he has done this to. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, it's their stories.
Sure.
There's a lot of similar aspects to what I've dealt with.
Okay. I understand that.
So, go ahead. Yeah.
Well, I'm just kind of asking, like, because you said, like, he had mentioned, like, oh, are you not attracted to me, sort of thing. Like, how did it start, I guess, is my question.
Well, I did
not watch my stream, Matt.
Okay, so here's the thing with that. Like, I had overslept, and then 'cause I was taking a nap, and then I had to go get dinner. So I threw the kids in the car, and I grabbed like one my earbud, and I'm like listening as I'm driving, but I was still like 20 minutes late. And then you know how it is. You have to get home, have dinner. We watched a movie, and now I'm here. So no, I did not listen to the first like 30 minutes of the stream.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I started off like modding for him, and everything was normal, professionally platonic. He always seemed to like notice me in the stream and would always like, I guess, find a way to say something to me while the stream was going on.
Mm-hmm.
When he moved everybody over to Telegram, he had all the mods in like a private group that we would communicate with each other during the streams and so on and so forth. And then he also had followed me on Instagram after I became a mod. And I was really into the Free Britney stuff and the Johnny Depp stuff.
Yeah.
So I did a photo in support of Britney, basically. He saw it, and then that's where it kind of all started, where he was taking the relationship to an inappropriate level.
So like a lot of like private conversations and things like that?
Yes. Mm-hmm. And then like once he came on to me, he started secret chatting me. Because I think he's gotten really good at what he does in terms of trying to get with women from his community.
Yeah. Well, one time I actually happened across I was bored, and I just kind of, went to go check out his Twitter through my alt account. And I noticed that he had been kind of cold messaging women in Tampa. And it was like there was a tattoo artist, a news reporter, and some other girl. I forget who. But he did this during like a weekend where his fiance was out of town, and he had been on stream, like trying to like get women to go karaokeing with him. So that's what
I don't doubt it. Sorry. I didn't.
No. It's one of those things where like, I forget when it happened. I know I've talked about it before. I just thought it was really interesting. I'm just like, as soon as I saw that, and then I caught wind about his fiance being out of town, I was like, oh, he is definitely on the prowl. So I started noticing patterns, but of course, like, I could say something, no one's going to listen to me anyway. Right. So it's obviously like but you start to notice that this is basically what it is. Raven, I'm okay with you coming on. Britt, are you okay with her coming on?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, great. Yeah. Saggy can send you the link. That'd be great. I think, thank you for that super chat, by the way. So he started like, secret chatting you, and this is through Telegram, if I recall correctly.
Yes.
Okay. And Telegram has the ability to auto delete messages. Is that correct?
Yes. You can delete them for everybody involved. And then secret chats will show if you've screenshotted it or anything like that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it prevents you from screenshotting. It's encrypted. So I basically talked about it to explain what Telegram is. So the secret chats are encrypted. It prevents you from screenshotting things. It also sets like a timer where like once the conversation's over, it'll delete the entire conversation on both parties' end. So basically that's what it is. And that's like, I heard about the Telegram stuff a while back, and that I looked into it, and yeah, it's one of those apps that you can like have secret conversations so they can't be exposed, because I think at that point, how many people at that time were dropping Andy DMs, and I think he was like, all right, I need a way of people not doing this. So yeah.
Well, I know he was on WhatsApp for a while, because as far as him and I are still like on WhatsApp, you know, like we chit-chatted through there for a little bit. So I know that he was on there. I've never experienced Telegram myself, so all of that is new to me.
Haven't either. Yeah, I had to learn myself too. I was like, what the heck is a Telegram?
Yeah. I heard of it, but I had no idea. So joining us now is Raven. Raven, thank you very much for being here.
Hi guys, how are you doing?
Hey, how are you?
Hanging in there.
Doing well. I think one thing we should point out is that everything here comes across as morally bankrupt on his end, but not illegal. I think we need to have a distinction about that, where it's not illegal to step out on your fiance. It's just creepy as fuck.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So, so Raven, you've clearly been involved in this for a while.
Yeah. It's actually, I was just thinking it's a year, like around this time that all the issues for me started there. I had never used YouTube before. And I started following the Gabby Petito case, and it wasn't in mainstream media yet. So when I would Google it, Andy's videos came up, and that's really kind of how I got into the community, like just into YouTube in general.
Yeah.
And I was there for a while, and I think, you know, the reason why I didn't have a similar situation to Britt is because my husband was so very involved. We're just like that weird gaming couple that like, we like to play video games. We like to do this stuff together. And, it was hard because my issues with Andy were more, I thought we were friends. He never attempted anything sexual with me whatsoever. So I just wanted to definitely clear that up. But he would pit us all against each other. He would have us, you know, go talk to her and be friends with her and see what's going on and see if they're going to do something to me. And it really made it such an uncomfortable environment. I mean, Britt and I had problems towards the end. We were great in the beginning, but then towards the end, as Andy's manipulation was getting to everybody, it went to hell in a handbag around Thanksgiving, and it just didn't stop.
Now, I mean, because obviously ever since the Petito and Free Britney thing, I mean, Petito, I would say, because he lived in such close proximity to where that thing was happening, he just jumped on it. And I remember, because I cover true crime as well, and but I live in Washington, so it's like I couldn't do what he was doing, nor would I. I thought that was always a step too far. But yeah, like the popularity surrounding that case just kind of startled, you know, just rocketed him up there. And then of course the Free Britney movement. And that's where he adopted the pop culture justice angle, I think, is where he started talking about that, and then the Johnny Depp stuff. But now, did you guys like work with him at all during like the Johnny Depp trial, or was this after? No. I forget. My dates are all backwards right now, so I forget when anything has happened.
I left in March.
Okay.
When I was there, I was in the headline room and also was a moderator. And I guess like they have two types of moderators. It's so ridiculous, but they have baby mods that aren't allowed to go in the moderator room. And then they have the regular mods, I guess, the big mods that are, the ones in the special room that can contact Andy if needed, even though he says anybody can. That's not really the case. And he doesn't care. He was doing a segment, Who's the Hottest Guy, literally like the same week we had finished up the Gabby Petito fundraiser we did for Sunrise. And he's playing Who's the Hottest Guy, Who's the Hottest Girl, and was comparing like Kim Kardashian with somebody else and making the audience vote on it. It was absolutely disgusting. And there were several people that came to me and were like, this isn't okay. This has made me really uncomfortable. Like, what is going on? So I'm trying to deal with that. I bring it to his attention, and his response was, well, they can turn the fucking video off.
Okay. Yeah, that was more of a, would that be something associated with Jody's Corner at the time? Oh, that was just on his own. Okay.
This was on his own. This was literally, we did, I don't know if Britt remembers exactly when. I believe it was around the October or November that we did the charity, the fundraiser for Sunrise.
Yes, I think it was around that time. Because it wasn't too long. She went missing in September, right?
Yeah, end of August she went missing, and she was found in September, and I don't believe they found him until the end of September.
Yeah. So
that was a wild month.
I think it was October.
Yeah, and we did this huge fundraiser. I think the goal originally was $5,000. I believe we ended up raising like $50,000, almost $55,000.
Wow.
Yeah, it was amazing. I mean, but it was so overshadowed because right after you do this, and we've been covering this awful case every single day. He was having us do research in other missing persons cases. It was absolutely nuts. Then you had the Travis Scott Astroworld thing, as well as the Rust thing, and where he was covering all these pop culture things. He wouldn't ever get a script done. What ended up being the headline group, he would be like, okay, so what is the trending topics today? So we would have had to have spent the whole morning when he wouldn't even respond to us until at least 10 o'clock in the morning. And he wanted the show to go live at noon. And so we're struggling and all night, like I would stay up till 2-3 o'clock in the morning, looking up links and making sure I had everything saved so I could send to him if he chose that story.
Can I ask a question before we go further? Because this has been boggling me. I probably should have asked it, but like since you both were like part of that community, doing all that stuff, do you know what he's done with any of the money he's raised while you guys were there? Like, do you know where it went?
Did it go Sunrise absolutely went to Sunrise. The way they set it up, Britt, do you remember what program we used to set that up?
Stream Elements?
Yeah, I think that's it. I think it was Stream Elements, and it was set to go directly to them. They even came on the show and, said, we can't believe this. We raised more money than what their budget is for a year.
So what about like the other money? I'm like, not like charity stuff, but like money that was raised for like
Britney Spears' sister's book that he's a weirdo and likes to talk about stupid ass shit. I have no idea, because at that point, like I said, around this time, things started to get really rough because he was getting super paranoid. I didn't know what was going on, like why he was doing it. There was infighting between the mods at this point because of the way Andy was pitting everybody against each other. And, oh, you become really good friends with her. And if something's coming up, and he didn't even say it to us personally. What he would do is he would go to Will and tell Will, and then Will, it's like we were all fucking minions. It was a pyramid scheme. And we were doing all the work, and he would just read the shit that we would have created. And it took about 8 of us to do a show, and he didn't do anything.
And there was never any compensation?
No, there was no compensation. Matter of fact, if there was something that was going on in chat, he wouldn't respond to us in Telegram when we would try to get his attention. So if it was something really important, I would have to super chat to get his attention for him to read it. And then typically he would be an asshole about it and say he wouldn't care. And that, oh, you should have messaged me in Telegram after, he'll say it after the fact. And I'm like, I fucking did. Look at your messages.
Jeez. So, I mean, like, yeah, that's me personally. I people send me stuff all the time, but like oftentimes I'm just like, I'll rather go do the work myself. Just simply because like of that. I don't want anyone to ever feel like they're being used. But I understand, like, in that environment, it's like he gets you guys in, he brings you in, you feel like you're part of something, like you're benefiting something. And but it just became, from my understanding, or at least my interpretation, as it became more and more demanding over time, with like diminishing results and appreciation.
Absolutely. Well, I don't think there was ever really any appreciation. I mean, Britt, you can attest to this. He would have favorites, and the favorites were usually the new people that came in, and then a couple select older mods, and everybody else kind of in the middle didn't really matter, so to speak. There was one mod. I'm not telling her story, and I believe it's probably the same person that Britt is, thinking in her head as well. She spent a lot of money and got an honorary mod, but she didn't ever do anything with it. But it was just, and then telling like the super mods or whatever you wanted to call the upper mod level, like that we had to keep an eye on the baby mods, make sure they're following the rules. But then he would tell the listeners, there's no rules. Like, you can say whatever you want, just don't be, go racist or something crazy. But behind the scenes, he was telling us, like, no, you need to do this, you need to do that. And he would go off the handle if we did let stuff go that he didn't want people to see. So it was just so confusing.
And you think, is that part of the way that he would just like maintain control, is by having the confusing elements?
I believe so. I believe, and the other thing too is he would throw in your face, like, wouldn't you like to be able to, not have a regular 9-to-5 job and do something like this, like, especially with us in the headline room, because there was two different things. The moderators weren't headline group. The headline group, because it was so much work, that was something completely separate. Now, were there mods in there that were in the headline group? Absolutely. There were several of us, but I mean, we were looking up, we would have probably 5 or 6 stories. We each had our own stories going and doing research. There was one person that would have to run background checks and pull court documents. And we would tell him the highlighted areas. We would highlight it. We would screen capture it, and he'd put it in a Google Doc. I still have access to some of them. And he would just go on air and say whatever, and then never say thank you to us. Never give us any credit for the work that we put in. It was, and he would say it on air. He'd be like, sorry I'm late. I was doing a lot of research. No, you weren't.
Well, can I chime in?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
The thing with Andy is he gets everybody to do his work for him and then basically takes the credit. Just like Lewis and Steph being like his front guard.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's... I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, in Lewis, I feel awful for Lewis because, I feel bad for him in the sense of, like, he's Andy's whipping boy. He treats him so awful.
I don't feel bad for him. He made a whole stream crying that I said I was going to confront him at a convention I had no intention of going to.
Well,
don't feel bad for Lewis.
Well, I don't feel bad for Lewis. He's just as bad. He's complicit to all this. To hell with him.
Well, is he being groomed too? Like, is he being treated that? No, this is just Lewis.
Well, I've known Lewis for a number of years, and Lewis just wants a seat at the table. That's all he cares about, is to be like, because you have Nuke the Fridge is his baby, and that gets invited to all the screenings and everything else in Hollywood, but he's never been part of the Cool Kids Club. He always gets ignored, and he hates it. Like, he would go to these screenings and then call me afterward, and he would be upset because, like, the John Campias or the John Rocas or whomever else was there, they would just ignore him. They wouldn't want to talk to him, and they would just go, oh, whatever. And so it always bugged him that he would never get the kind of recognition that he felt that he was owed, even though the website didn't do anything spectatacular. Right. So that's a lot of it. So yeah, when Andy, because when I first got introduced via Lewis, I thought him and Andy were just like close. Like, I knew they were close, but I thought they were just like friendly on the outskirts, right? Because I talked to Lewis every day. I'm sorry, what, Shaggy?
I said he didn't get a video.
Well, he didn't. He might, and then just never shared it. I have no idea. But as I discovered over time, they would talk on the phone every day. Like, Lewis watched like all of like the Fandom Menace type channels, all the anti-fans, like the Geeks and Gamers and whatever, and report all that information back to me. And he would feed me info for what's going on and everything else, because he's looking for someone to elevate him. And I think that's what he's doing here with Andy as well. Because like Andy's like, look, we're going to Vegas. Come to Vegas. Yeah, you can come with us to this concert or this thing and hang out and be part of this big thing. And that's all Lewis has ever cared about. So that's, yeah. So no, I don't feel bad for him, unfortunately. What I'm waiting for is Steph to finally have enough.
It won't happen. It won't happen.
You think she just drank the Kool-Aid that much? Is that? I mean,
yeah, she's drinking, gargling it, spitting it out.
But like, I mean, don't you think? I just gotta like, if this video, you know, we can assume that he's done it to other women.
Have you seen the video that from Vegas when they were doing karaoke?
No, I haven't.
He looks her up and down with the camera and says, "Oh, baby."
Oh, God.
So there has been some insinuations, and I don't know if they're true or not. I mean, it's just rumors that I've heard. So, you know, whatever.
I've heard similar rumors about him on that front, and and it's just like I know. Like, so when I was living in LA, there was a woman that I was working with. We would run these events together, and she would call me. She'd go, "Oh, I'm Jarbo's second girlfriend," knowing I have a girlfriend, having met my girlfriend who I'm still with. And it always made me very uncomfortable, you know, and this woman is like very much like super pro Me Too. This happened in 2010, well before that whole thing happened. So I thought it was kind of funny years later when she came out in support of it. But because she would do that to me, she'd make me feel that way in order to elevate herself up and like say things that were kind of, you know, like icky. My take on it at least. And so I get like, yeah, no, you just don't do that shit. Like when you got a partner, it's just fuck, what the hell?
Right.
I'm sorry. I know it's kind of an odd tangent to go on, but it's like that's my only real relation on that front. I think it's people in LA are like that though. People from that community are like that. They don't view people as people. Like when you're in that community, in that world, I should say, everyone becomes an object. Everyone becomes something I can just get out of other people. And I think if you go back and you look at, I don't know if you guys were here at the beginning of the stream where I pulled up the old Hollywood Reporter original report about him being Me Too'd. And the accusation of the masturbation. And that was with Saggy's stream that caught my attention. I was like, holy shit. Like that just shows you like his modus operandi. And Britt, I really hate to kind of there was a Zoom call you had mentioned before on Saggy's stream. I only caught part of because my kids were talking, but like would he do this kind of stuff on Zoom as well?
Would he do this kind of stuff on Zoom?
Yeah, like because maybe I'm mistaken in what I heard. I just want to clarify, like because it wasn't just like the video, right? Where there was
other things, yeah.
Okay, other things as well. You again, don't go.
I can tell you. I mean, unless you don't want me to.
Well, no, I don't. I trust me. I've been around the internet for years. I've seen things that are terrible. So this stuff doesn't bother me because it's now more of I'm just curious on like a kind of a morbid level, but you know, I just want you to be comfortable. I don't want you to say anything you're uncomfortable with.
After being with Saggy, and she really helped all week, and everybody helped Shadow, and they really helped me to feel comfortable because this was very nerve-wracking for me. So now that I've done it, I just feel so much more at ease. And I know there's going to be haters that support Andy, but I guess I'm getting off topic. So
no, it's perfectly fine. There's no real set topic on this. It really is it's just a conversation. Yeah. You know, and sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. You're fine.
Oh, I'm just saying, no matter what, I just want to make sure if at any point in time something is off limits or uncomfortable, please let me know. I want to make everyone feel safe and welcome and everything else.
I appreciate that. So yeah, he would, he was very pushy and persistent. There came times I was like, I'm just not comfortable with this. And I would tell him and he'd be like, okay. And then he'd come back around and test the waters. But yes, he would ask me to Zoom call with him to watch him pleasure himself. And he would keep people in the lives waiting. He was always late to live, so that wasn't always me. So, but he would be trying to get me to go on Zoom with him, and I'd be thinking of every excuse not to. So, but when I would look at, I have researched his past with other women, and just the things they said really resonated with me because that sounded exactly like what I had to deal with his power dynamic. And people are like, oh, she's, she could have said no. I mean, but they don't know how I think. And I enjoyed being a part of the community, but that's an aspect that I never thought I'd have to give up. That's an aspect I never thought I'd have to deal with. So, I didn't want to give up the community and the friends I had made, the few people I was really close to, and I was really afraid of being left out in the cold. So, I mean,
so you feel, indirectly pressured into witnessing these events?
Yeah, he's very pushy. I mean, like he'll act like he'll gaslight you, but he's like, even if you say, he tried to fly me down to see him when his fiance and kids were gonna be out of town, and I did not want to go. I'm like, I have children. I can't just up and get on a plane to go do some guy.
And that's what I was referencing in my video when I said, and just to be clear, like that wasn't me trying to be like vindictive towards anybody other than really Andy, I guess. And it wasn't even to be vindictive. It was more leave me alone, because he wouldn't stop. And I was trying to say, like, look, leave me alone. I know a lot about you. I know the kind of person you are. Just back off. And I feel bad for even bringing it up, looking back on it now. But it was more towards like, how can you do this to your family? Like, what is wrong with you?
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's the biggest thing. And I know Saggy and I have discussed this about like having the family, having the children specifically.
Well, that's another thing. He kind of implies he's not happy with her. And I feel really bad for her and their kids because he does put on this front online that he's just this happy family man and he's just so perfect. You never see him own up to anything he has done wrong. It's always everybody else's fault. So.
Yeah, no, I know.
You know, yeah.
I know, I'm aware. So I think I heard about the flying thing. I think that was actually the same weekend he was on Twitter trying to cold message women that I saw. I think it was that same weekend. I could be wrong, but if I recall, that was around that same time.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Oh no, you guys go.
I just wanted to say, like, so like I said, there was nothing ever with I never dealt with Andy in any kind of sexual fashion. Like I did not think, thank God I didn't have to deal with that. But the only thing that he did that I find the most repulsive, and I think it was definitely the straw that broke the camel's back for me, is he has another channel called Hugging the Cactus.
Oh,
and
God.
He wanted to go to Hugging the Cactus. He was doing, he had some therapist on there. I can't remember what the purpose of it was, but it was for people to call in anonymously, blah, blah, blah. Well, nobody was calling in for the first like 10, 15 minutes. And Brittany, you were there. You can attest to this because you were still in that chat. He was like, can somebody send me, like, somebody call and get this started? And then he private messaged me and was like, do you want to talk to this lady about your brother? And just for context, I'm okay talking about it now, but just for context, my brother committed suicide 3 years ago, and I have PTSD, and I was just starting to like kind of turn the corner. The community that was Popcorn Planet for me and the friends I made really helped me feel alive again, and kind of have a purpose instead of just wallowing in the fact of, oh my God, what has happened? And I was the first person to call in because he kept asking me to, and I broke down. I cried the whole time, and I was crying because what I was talking about, but I was also crying because I thought Andy was my friend. And again, nothing sexual between us. I mean, he would even talk to my husband. My husband was always around with me because of for my mental health, really. Because I worked from home and whatever, but he just, I thought he was my friend, and the fact that I felt like he was almost exploiting my brother a little bit, because like, if I'm not wanting to talk about this, and but I did it anyway, and to be honest, I can't tell you why I called into that Zoom. Like, looking back on it, I'm like, what the hell were you thinking? Why did you do that? Why were you trying to help him at your own expense?
I think we oftentimes as people have a tendency of doing that. We don't really realize it or recognize it till later on. Of course, I'm not a psychologist or a psychiatrist, so take what I say with a grain of salt, obviously. But the hugging the cactus thing bothered me as a person who's gone through therapy and has had very, very, very dark thoughts. Just as recently as even 5 years ago, before my kids were born, I was just not in a good place mentally. And when you have someone who is an unlicensed therapist, someone acting as such, I think Andy's done multiple call-in streams where,
yes,
like, for people to call in, it's like, you are not equipped to handle that. And knowing what I know about him being the sociopath that he is, it just always disgusted me on that level, because like, I just, and the thing is, like, people think he's trying to be genuine when it's anything but, and that's the worst part of it.
That's
Absolutely.
exactly right. He's just not genuine at all. He puts on a good front. And I mean, I don't even want to say this, but he's a charismatic person. So I think that's a lot of his draw for his community. So, but he just hasn't learned. He's a repeat offender. And
it doesn't just stop like at, whether you're treating your voluntary staff, because at that point, I guess we're staff, crappy. It doesn't matter. There's no difference. It's like mental. Like, I thought I was going to lose my mind. I'm working full time, have kids, and doing all this work for this channel, and not so much as a thank you. Like, I think if he had just said thank you, or acknowledged that, like, hey, I fucked up, I'm sorry, I think a lot of this probably could have just been like, okay, cool, you apologize, and if it didn't happen again, then great. But it just keeps happening. And then to say people are crazy, because the same things he said about Shadow and I, he said about Britt.
Yeah. And I'm sure he said things about Saggy and Paul and myself and anyone else who's ever questioned him.
To be honest, I didn't hear about Saggy. I did hear about you, Jarbo.
Everyone does at one point in time or another.
Yeah.
I kind of get around.
I heard about Paul, but I didn't know. They didn't say his name, but I heard that, like, they told the story without giving any information, which I thought was stupid, because it's like, if you're going to tell the story, then just tell us who it is. But other than that, like, he didn't, and all he would just say is, if people are bringing stuff up from my past, you guys need to take that out. And we would. I mean, it was very. I mean, Britt wasn't. I've moderated on other channels. I've never had. His channel, his chat is awful. It's so hard to moderate.
Yeah, man, like, this has been wild. Like, I've been quiet because, like, it's part listening and then part responding, because, like I said, there's so many people that just are like, well, if she didn't say no, she's not a victim. And I'm like, bro, not like, people are so not listening to anything. So I find this very fascinating, how many people are still kind of just like, that's not proof. People are saying we deep faked it and shit. And I'm like, what? I'm like, how?
You know what sucks? I just took a look at Lewis's his Twitter, and he had an Ask Me Anything going in live like an hour ago. Like, shit.
Oh,
Been a bit funny to go, what do you think about Andy sending those videos?
That's probably why he did it, because Lewis runs a lot of, like, damage control for him.
Oh yeah.
And so I bet you if you go in and watch that replay, there will be shit talked about.
It's members only at this point. So
it's
puts it behind a paywall.
Yeah, so it's definitely about what happened.
So it's crazy, man, that he just runs all that defense, and it's sad. It's really sad. I've been to his house. I've slept on his couch. Like, I've met his girlfriend. I've met, and everything else. Like, very nice woman too. It's really sad. I guess, what is the question I want to, so back, because I know, Britt, you'd made a comment about how Andy he would say that he wasn't happy with his fiance. Was that like more than once? Was that like his angle to get in, do you think?
I think it could have been part of it. He didn't really mention her a lot. And since, I'm spilling the tea, I mean, there was another time he secret chatted me, sent me a private picture, and they were in Chicago on their vacation, and he asked if I wanted to watch them have intercourse. And I said no, because that is not right. I wouldn't want somebody to record me in that intimate position without my knowledge. So I was like, no way. And he's like, okay, are you sure? Are you sure? He's like, I'm not trying to make you uncomfortable. I was like, well, that does make me uncomfortable. So.
Wow. No fucking way. Holy shit. That's terrible.
It is.
That's like, I mean, that is illegal. Unless she's into that sort of thing. I don't think she would be, but.
Wouldn't think so. It's hard.
Yeah.
But.
It's like, oh my God. That's so fucking weird. Why would you do that? That's so crazy. I mean, like, so that particular request, was that like before the intimacy within the Zoom calls and other aspects had happened, or was that like kind of just out of left field?
That was just out of left field. And I'm really bad at timelines too, so I apologize if I'm like, I seem off on that.
That's okay.
Like, I wish I had our secret chat conversations, and it's just by chance that he sent me that video and told me to save it if I wanted. So at that point, I'm like, well, because he was already being shady with all the drama that was going on. I mean, because he always has drama. I mean, yeah. That's the thing that people seem to fail to realize, is that he is usually the core of the drama. So with all the people that he doesn't get along with, including you, so he...
yeah.
I think the biggest problem with the Popcorn Planet community, because community was great, the problem with it was Andy. And the community was made by the mods. The mods made that community. We had, if someone came in there and said, I'm in crisis, I am in a domestic violence situation, I need help, people would be on that and be like, okay, what country? And we'd be Googling phone numbers for them to call, places they can go to help them. I tried to help one woman get a job. I was a recruiter for an agency that's actually globally, and so I was trying to help her find a job. Like, we bought books, how to, I can't remember the name of the book, but it was a self-help book, like, how to center your mind or whatever. I bought like 4 of these books, and another person bought a bunch of them, and we had asked Andy, can we get a couple of the Popcorn Planet stickers? And he's like, yeah, you can buy them. It was like, dude, really? Because this was something for us. What we were going to do was kind of have it like a traveling free library, where if somebody posted like, oh, we were going to make like a spreadsheet or whatever, and be like, okay, so this is the person that's next. We were just going to mail them out, and whoever had it, they would have to mail it to the next person. He didn't buy the books. We did. It really had a lot of potential, and a lot of people came in his audience. It wasn't just the JD thing. It really started with Gabby Petito. And that's what's the most disturbing to me, is you brought in all these people. We had this fundraiser for people that are gaslit, for people that, are abused, whether it's physically, mentally, or emotionally, or whatever. And this is what you decide to do.
Yeah. That's so, it's very out of touch is what it seems like to me, or just doesn't have time for it. That's everything. Like, it just comes across as being a very massively manipulative person. Because I think, from my understanding, a lot of people, like even even YouTube was a big push for the Petito, Free Britney, Johnny Depp stuff, because even my girlfriend was like, she was into the Free Britney stuff, and all of a sudden, you know, I'd turn on YouTube on her TV and I'd see an Andy video, and I told her, I'm like, don't watch these. These are bad. Like, this guy is bad. And she knows who he is. I've told her about him, and she's like, oh, okay, you know. But then other people, like a friend of mine, who doesn't like Andy at all, like his own father has seen Andy videos pop up on YouTube. The algorithm was recommending, and he's like, oh, I like this guy, until he was explained how bad Andy was. So it's like, I think that's the biggest problem, is like Andy comes across with this like, oh, we're pop culture justice and whatever the fuck that means. Do you guys even know what the hell that means? Because I'm still trying to figure that one out.
He didn't have that as his thing when I was there. Britt, you stayed longer than I did, not by much, but do you remember when that was at the Johnny Depp trial that he changed that?
Can you guys repeat that again? I'm sorry.
His pop culture justice thing. When did he make that like his banner and slogan? Because it wasn't like that when I was there. Was that from the Johnny Depp trial?
I don't remember, to be honest. Don't really remember.
Oh, okay. I just saw that on there, and I was just kind of, it's one of those things that kind of took me by surprise. I went like, huh, all right, that's kind of funny.
He was getting criticism because he still had Britney on there. I believe he also had Gabby Petito on there. And it wasn't representing, like, it was just a very weird thing because he had like basically murder victims and then like friggin' cartoon shit.
Yeah, I think he had Brian Laundrie on there at one point in time.
Yes, he did. Yep.
Which I thought was so weird.
And we would argue about the thumbnails and the titles too. And it like, Britt, do you remember the email that I got from my son's school? And it was about the potential. There was threats going out. Something was going on after that school shooting that happened, and I got an email, and I was like, oh my God, you guys, we have to share this. Like, parents need to know, because it was something that was like a national thing on TikTok. It was really crazy. And he had a contest during the live about how to make the thumbnail. They ended up putting Minions on it, and the title of it was like something so clickbaity. And that's when I knew for a fact, I'm like, this is absolutely not the place for me anymore, because I can't believe, like, why are you putting Minions on a video you're going to make about this TikTok thing that encouraging school shootings? Like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's a tough one to like try to meme on. You're all like, oh, school shootings are terrible, so Minions, right? That's kind of work. I don't know. What I think, to be honest with you, is there's a bit of a weird line that a lot of us kind of walk. And that's like, we try to take on subjects that are serious, but like we also want to provide entertainment. So it's like finding that right mix of like, what can you meme and what can't you? But I think anything involving a school shooting is probably not something that you want to, make light of.
He also, on April Fool's Day, he did a fake video pretending that Jussie Smollett was doing a police chase like O.J. Simpson did.
Oh, I did see that. I did see that one. I thought that was really ridiculous.
So he does that kind of stuff, but people just don't see it. And it's like, you have the people in the background doing good work, spending the time investigating, pre-interviewing, all this other stuff. But you're doing all this ridiculous shit on the side. Like, what are you thinking? And it's just, the values didn't align. He's really good at pretending he's this good, wholesome person. He had his parents on for Thanksgiving or some shit. And you love the guy, and then it's like he just turns on you and you're like, what the hell just happened?
No, I understand that entirely. I guess I'm very happy both of you are out of that situation, and there's others that have left as well, and that's really good. And it's good you guys are saying something, because without a challenge, he's never going to stop. That's the sad thing. And I think there's a lot of I've looked through his like his comment section, and he very much has like a bit of an older demographic.
Mm-hmm. Yes, he does.
And I get that entirely as well, based upon the subjects that he covers and things like that. But a lot of them are never going to see anything like this, any of these conversations, that of course is the YouTube algorithm at work there. But I guess at the end of this, because I don't know if there's anything else is there anything else you guys would like to say? Because I don't quite know where to take it specifically. Is there anything that anything else that you guys have to say about it?
No, I mean, I hope people would just start looking this man up before they start following him, because you would save yourself so much grief. This has been going on for me now for a year, and it's exhausting.
Yeah. And I know I saw your video from a year ago, and and I saw some of the shit that you got, and that was really unfortunate.
Yeah, and I took a break from my channel because of it. And just to make it clear, because I know people are going to say, oh, she's an anti-hater or whatever. The video I made a year ago is the one and only video I've ever made about Andy, and the rest of my content is like royal commentary and all that. It has nothing to do with Andy. I made that video for the very specific reason of telling him to leave me alone, and that I'm not stupid. I'm not in the dark. I know what you've been up to. And if I have to, I will expose you. So just fuck off. That was the purpose of the video for me.
And I understand that. I didn't think anything in there was that wrong, but obviously, I'm sure even this stream and Saggy stream from before, it's probably already being talked about in certain circles, and circling of the wagons is going to be happening as these things tend to do.
It's a lot of misinformation. People assuming things that were said that weren't said. I'm sitting there like, but that wasn't said. But nobody's saying that. No one's accusing. No one's doing this. And everyone's like, yeah, but he didn't do anything wrong. And I'm like, bruh, whatever. I'm not gonna argue with people over shit that at the end of the day, it's out there, and my life goes on. I'm gonna sleep like a fucking baby tonight.
Yeah.
I'm not going to have any issue with it. I mean, look, we've said it's opinion, and we're talking about your lived experiences, your firsthand experiences. You're not, putting words in anyone else's mouth. You've been very clear about that. Other people have their stories to tell, and that's where things should stay until they're ready to come forward. And at that point in time, there are people. I think the key thing, and this is just my takeaway, is that there are people who are willing to listen, who have experienced this type of person before, him specifically, and they don't want anyone else to be taken in by the bullshit.
Yeah, 100%.
Well,
hold on, Saggy, I'm going to mute you because you got a lot of background noise.
Oh, no, sorry. No, I know what that is. Sorry, it's my fan. I'm hot. I'm freaking cold in my room, dude. It's fucking freezing.
Yeah, you're in Boston, and it's almost winter. What do you like? Of course it's going to be cold.
Yeah,
it's going to be really cold this week, Saggy. We had winter. I'm in Boston too. We had summer weather all last week. It was 80.
Oh,
and
wow.
I think this week we're getting snow, and it's going to be 25 outside all night.
Yeah, well, I'm freezing. I'm sorry. My bad. Sorry.
I'm in Washington. It's 35 degrees outside and foggy right now. And I'm great.
Black ice central.
Yeah. I live in the woods too, so it gets a little crazy out here every once in a while. But yeah, weather obviously weather is going to be a mofo for everybody. But I guess Brittany, is there anything that you want to say on a last note with this?
Yes, I just want to say that, and I did want to make a point that before Andy came on to me, that he was always, I did say that he was always kind of building my ego up, I guess. And he would message me here and there, say, hey, how's your day going? And I didn't really ever think nothing of it, thought he was just being friendly. But then when he saw that picture of me, and I just want to also clarify that it's not like I sent that picture to Andy and said, hey, check this out. I actually sent it to Jolene and asked her advice on it. A couple people actually on what they thought of me doing that, because I was really big into stuff. So I went with it. I was proud of the picture. I still don't regret the picture. I just regret what it led to. And that I know people are like, well, you could have just said no. And you know, people don't know how I think or why I do what I do. And even sometimes I wonder, like, what was wrong with me? What the hell was wrong with me? I mean, but he is a manipulator, and he is very good at gaslighting you to do what he wants. I mean, he has so many followers, and he has so many people working and doing his dirty work and doing his YouTube work or whatnot. And I just want people to know that they aren't alone, and that other women who have been in this situation who do not want to speak out or who are afraid to speak out. I didn't speak out for ever since March when I left. I didn't speak out of fear because I felt like he got everybody against me, which is what he does. He gets people, Lord knows what he was saying about me to Steph, Lewis, I guess Pam. I mean, he said we're all crazy, you know, we're all just crazy people. We're all lying. Everybody's making it up, supposedly. So sorry if I'm rambling. I just want to say.
No, it's okay.
The word needs to be spread. And while he might not have assaulted me, he took advantage of me in a vulnerable time. He knew I was newly divorced. He knew I had come from a bad relationship. And I think he played on that.
I believe you.
Yeah.
That's.
Thank you. Thank you.
I mean, yeah, not that my word doesn't mean shit, really, but I believe you. So.
Well, here's my thing. I also want to say, Andy Signore is a bad person because my eyes will never be the same again after this is over. I think I wear glasses. I think I need stronger prescription now. So thank you for tainting my eyes forever. And yeah, that's really all I got to say. How dare you taint my eyes or anyone's eyes with what you did? You know what you did. It wasn't a deep fake, you stupid assholes. Trust me, I wish it was a fucking deep fake.
Can I also clarify one more thing?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
I did not sleep with him. So I never, I didn't want to, and it didn't happen.
Did you ever meet him in person?
No. He wanted me to come to Vegas, but I didn't.
Well,
and Florida.
Dodge that bullet.
And Florida. Yes. So, I mean, he was just very pushy. I mean, I'd be like, you know, I'm cooking dinner for my kids. I don't know how he gets away to do that kind of stuff, but I would just do it. I got to a point where I avoided him, but I had grown to like love so many people in the community, and I didn't want to leave for that reason.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I get that. Oftentimes if you ask people why, why they stay in those kind of relationships, it's never for the person. It's for, what the community, the family, the environment that they're accustomed to.
And I think also protection, because like, I know for me, I wanted to leave in December, and Shadow did not want to leave. She didn't want to leave because she didn't want to upset leave the community. She felt like she had a responsibility, and I did feel that as well. But it was just, to me, my thought was, listen, nobody's going to listen to us, and our health is not worth this. Like, we can't be like crying every day and stressed out, and it's not right. Like, it's just not fair. And he was relentless towards the mods. It was really bad the way he pitted everybody against one another. I wish I had the words to like properly explain it. And it really messed with my head for a long time. I mean, I have a hard time. Like, how do you trust again?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, I want to do this. Like, this is a cool hobby. I like doing this, but it's like, are you going to what's your real line here, you know?
Well, I also feel like he almost grooms everybody to protect him.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
I 100% agree.
By the way, I want to point out, because like I said, a lot of people are kind of misunderstanding the whole point of all this, right? And they're like, well, it's not a big deal, two consenting adults, he's just a creep and it's not a big deal and stuff. It's more like he's painting this picture for his community that he did nothing, that he's this like amazing guy who's not, who got me too'd, and it was awful. Meanwhile, he's convincing women that he did stuff with to lie for him. That was an important thing of that stream that I want people to really actually take away from, is when we were going over the fact that, he was trying to get Britt to basically say that nothing happened between them when clearly something did, where he had to protect this image of, I did do these things. And it's like, he's been very sneaky. And again, I want to say too, Britt's not the only person, right? Britt's not the only woman that this has happened to. So that's what the whole thing is. Like Britt, like when people say, oh, this is a whole nothing thing, it was consenting adults. I'm like, right, the adults consented, but like, that still doesn't make it okay for a big content creator or even a celebrity, because I had that argument too. Well, celebrities get women thrown at them all the time. I'm like, right, but that's women throwing them at you. This is not that situation. This is literally women who put their trust in somebody and literally was like, basically, that Andy took advantage of their trust. So that's what I want people to really understand, is that, there's a lot of manipulation going on, and that's the biggest key. Like I said, manipulation is not a crime, but it's still pretty shitty when a YouTube content creator as big as him is like doing that to people. Just throwing it out there, like for all the naysayers out there, they're like, oh, consenting adults, like, right, but like you're ignoring the fact that he tried to get her to lie about it. He tried to get her to lie about it. That's like the biggest thing.
That's what he does with everybody. I mean, he tries to manipulate the situation to benefit him. He doesn't care about anybody but himself. And I mean, I've thought with a lot of, I like hid out ever since I said that. I've hid since March. And when I saw that Johnny Depp video and that he said that he has his own Amber Heard, which he wasn't referencing me. I know who he was referencing. That just really pissed me off. I was like, no, this is not right.
I mean,
he's more like Amber Heard than anybody else in this entire situation.
Yeah. Usually people like that are. Usually people who are very much that kind of manipulative are very kind of like Amber Heard, that's just like, what, like, what, didn't he say the other day something like he's backing off social media for a bit and like giving it all over to Steph?
Yes.
Yeah. So it's like, he, clearly I think he's aware that something was brewing or something. I don't know. He seems to be knowledgeable of certain things. And that's, that's fine, because I can't stop the truth. You can try to clamp down all you want. But eventually this shit comes out. Always does. And again, the biggest thing for me is I feel terrible for the family that's innocent.
Me too. I mean, he does have a precious family, and he, in my opinion, does not appreciate that. He's already messed up his first family with his ex-wife, and then he had another chance in all areas. He was able to rebuild his brand, and he was also able to find a new woman to be with who obviously loves him and have a child, and he's just not thinking of any of them, in my opinion.
But do you really think he built the brand, or do you think it was the moderators that were communicating with everybody every day? I mean, think about the amount of work. We were up 24/7, round the clock, because thank God we had people in other time zones, just, sorry, I'm struggling now. I'm getting tired. Moderating his chat in Telegram, and if people had questions, and keeping people engaged and putting out fires left, right, and center, because, well, I super chatted and Andy didn't say anything about it. or Andy's always late, or, you know, there was always issues with people. People would complain, but Andy never had to deal with it because he had his management handle it all. And that's what I used to call us. I'm like, oh yeah, we're just management.
Well, I agree. He does have people doing a lot of the work for him and building him up and boosting his ego. But what gets me is when I see him on his streams and he's telling everybody what a victim he is, like Matt said.
It's disgusting.
Yeah, it's pretty terrible. But hey, listen, karma is a real motherfucker, and occasionally Schadenfreude is really fucking fun. So, you know, maybe I don't know. Maybe we shouldn't laugh at it. Oh no, fuck it. Laugh and laugh and laugh and laugh and laugh, because maybe that's always what pushes him over the edge. If you laugh at him, that's when he fucks up. And you know, again, look, Saggy's not going to release the unedited video because that would be illegal.
Stop fucking asking, you perverts.
You know, I mean, like, that doesn't mean that someone else might not. If there's other women, then there could be that potential data breach on the horizon. You know what I mean? Remember how the fappening happened, folks? Right? Remember how that whole thing happened? You know what? Anything is possible.
Well, and that's another make. I am in no way out for revenge against him.
Yeah.
If anything, I was scared to death to even try to go against him. Because I know I'm not perfect. I can own up to what I'm ashamed of or what I think I could have done better. But Andy doesn't own up to what he does. He just keeps doing it.
Yeah, Hans, you're asking, is Jarbo encouraging the hacking of Saggy? No, I'm not. I'm just, I'm saying that in the realm of the internet, you know, shit has a tendency of getting out. All I'm saying is, like, expect, like, at this point, don't, like, think nothing will ever happen. And that's not a call to action or anything else. That's just like, you know, it's like, you can't take a nude photo of yourself in the modern age and not expect at some point for it to get out there.
Right.
You know, and I think that's like, that is just something that we hear about all the time, in a number of ways. And it just happens. And there's very little recourse if you don't have the means to do anything about that. But even then, if you can't really prove where it came from, you know, it's, once it's out there, regardless of the legality or illegality of it. Just stop sending dick photos or anything else. Like, that's my take on it.
For sure. And like my video, like the only reason why I'm coming out about this now myself is because I did reference the situation in my video that I made back in March. And I don't feel right having had a huge part in putting Brittany in this situation. And I take full responsibility for that. I didn't think of that kind of collateral damage. But I didn't say her name, so I didn't think anybody would figure it out. And I thought he would just do what he does with everybody and just ignore it. I never expected it to go the way it did. But my intention wasn't to have him canceled or anything. The only intention I had was I wanted the consistent, constant, rapid fire messages asking me to put fires out and telling me to tell people to stop doing this, that, and everything else. Like Jolene, tell her to stop talking to people about this. And who's talking about, you know, the person that can't mention her name. And how did you find that out? And it was awful. And he pitted everybody again. I know I've said it 1,000 times and it's just, I can't get over it. I'm so flabbergasted with this whole thing. I'm sorry, guys.
No, it's all right. It's all right. This kind of stuff, you know, after a while, like I said, it kind of just goes into like a roundabout, like just because it's, you know, you're trying to like, okay, like how do we talk about this sort of thing? That's why I think it's, you know, we all are in very much agreement that no one is trying to cancel Andy on this one. No one is. But it's own up to the fact that you are an influential person in your community. People turn to you because you claim to want to help others. And if you are in the meantime pulling this kind of shit, while you have a fiance and like a 1-year-old, 2-year-old now. I don't know how old his youngest is.
4. He just would have turned 4 this year.
Oh, is he that? Okay, I thought he was younger, but you know what? That I'm just saying, you have a child, you have there's children at home that you look after, and you plaster their images all over social media while doing this shit behind the scenes. And then the thing about that sucks is, if the right people, well, right in parentheses, gets, decides they want to troll him, then those people become targets. And that's not fair. That's not fair to them. That's not right for them. They don't want to have, the names smeared with that stuff. So it doesn't now. I mean, look, people are talking about the consensuality versus unsolicited. There's two different factors at play here. It was consensual. It was just unsolicited. Is that correct?
Yeah, but some stuff was out. I mean, there were times he would send me secret chats with things, and I would avoid them. And I didn't ask to see him and his fiance.
Yeah.
It was, and there was it was a toxic cycle. I would just be like, I'm not comfortable with this. And then he would test the waters again. So, he was really using his power dynamic to push it. And he is just like with what you said about like constantly texting you if you blocked him on WhatsApp or wherever you blocked him. And then he started texting you.
Yeah.
He would just keep at me until I would consent.
Yeah, that's a lot of that's the whole aspect of it, right? Well, you said it best yourself, the power dynamic. Mm-hmm. It's like consenting adults can do whatever they want. They're consenting, they're adults, but when you have that dynamic, especially in the case of who his previous accusers were, how one of them claimed to be an intern for the company, if I remember that correctly, and he would then send her those messages, there is a power imbalance there, and that is the problem. Yeah. That is a major problem, a major no-no. So that's really what we're talking about here. But I do agree with Jared here. I think Jared has probably the most succinct comment of the night. Keep your dick in your pants. Just keep your dick in your pants. I think it solves a lot of problems in this world. For one, saggy sanity. That's one. She doesn't have to see that.
Fuck it. It was awful. Let me tell you, I will be honest. When I saw it, bro, I literally collapsed on the floor and laughed, and I called Matt and said, bro, no idea.
I was at the library.
What just happened?
I was literally at the library, and she calls me, and I'm like, let me hold on. And I put on my headphones, and she's like, bro. I'm like, what are you talking about? As I'm whispering.
I was dead. I was dead inside. I was like, bro, what the hell is this man doing? What is wrong with him? And the reason why I called Matt is because Matt has history, right? And he's known that Andy was a little sus. So I figured, I was like, well, holy crap, this happened. And
what did I say? I said it's alleged till you see it. And don't share it. I said, don't upload it. I'm all like, don't do anything illegal.
No, but people were asking me like if I'm gonna release the unedited version. I was like, what the hell is wrong with y'all? Like, this is not what this whole thing is for. It's not what this whole thing is about. Like, stop asking for that. It's not even about breaking the law. It's like a moral thing. Like, just because I don't like Andy, I'm not trying to do that. You shouldn't do that to anyone. Like, if somebody, like you shouldn't just do that to anyone. That's humiliating. That's embarrassing. I'm not trying to do that. I really just, the goal is like, can you stop doing this, bro? Like, why are you even bothering getting married if you're just gonna keep cheating on your wife? Why do you keep saying that you're not doing this shit when you're doing this shit? It's really just at this point, bro, just get your shit together. Stop being creepy with women. Like, these women aren't part of your community to be your fucking harem. Like, they're not there to satisfy your sexual needs. They're there because they supported you for what you were doing. They empathized with you, and you exploited that, in my opinion. And again, we can all agree to disagree at the end of the day, but that's what I see it as, exploitation of people. You're taking advantage of these women's kindness, and you're using it for your own friggin' jerk off shit. It's fucking weird.
Yeah. And I think one thing on a legality level, and I don't want to say this is 100%, so I'm not a lawyer, but if I recall, there was a Supreme Court ruling back in the 70s that indicated for leaked documents that if you are sent something that is leaked, you can republish it without fear of reprisal, legally speaking, because you did not leak it with the intent for that to happen.
Yeah.
So
in our residential state, because like Saggy and I are in the same state,
yeah,
they have an extremely strict revenge porn where it's any audio or it's audio, visual, so it's photographic, auditory, or what was the other one? Videography.
Yeah.
And the first offense is 2.5 years in prison and a $10,000 fine.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
that's more than Oregon. Oregon, the very first guy to get arrested for and charged and convicted of revenge pornography in Oregon, I knew that dude. Like from a couple of years ago online, and he had invited me to like live in his basement while I was looking for a place to live when I was moving back to Oregon. And I'm just like, holy shit, it's that guy. And then he ran.
Oh, geez.
He ran. He was caught like, I think 6 or 7 months later. I'm like, dude, don't do, but then again, in Virginia, the release of revenge porn can get you like, it's a class B misdemeanor or something like that. I know a guy who just got busted, pled no contest to the misdemeanor of revenge pornography.
Right. I mean, even with the laws in place, I still wouldn't do it.
Yeah, no, you don't want to. I'm just saying, look, what I'm getting at here is I'm trying to be a bit hyperbolic and humorous about, don't show your dick to people, because it's just like, like, no, because this shit, like, it doesn't matter. Like, you can go, people could just get. I've seen enough shit on the internet.
I say this all the time. Every single penis looks exactly the same, and they don't look pretty. Sorry, gentlemen. We don't want to see them. If you send them, we're going to be polite because we don't want to be assholes and say, why the fuck did you send that to me? We're going to be polite and be like, oh, cool. Okay. And laugh it off. And I guarantee you that's probably exactly what Britt had to do. I'm not trying to put words in your mouth, but I'm just trying to picture it in my head. And because I've been in that situation too, where I've gotten stuff from like exes, and I've been married for 5 years, and I get stuff and I'm like, okay, thanks. What do you say to that? It's very difficult as a woman when that happens.
I've to be honest, I've been in situations like that a long time ago. Like I was doing like Craigslist dating, right? Like a moron. And I'd met these women on there, and I didn't want, like, every woman I'd met that had like sent me nude photos, I didn't really feel like it didn't work out. I just didn't really like the vibe. I felt like we were rushing into it. It's odd. That's weird as it is to say. So I would like literally tell these women, like, I don't want you to send me nude photos, and they took it as a challenge.
Oh dear.
I would just start getting. I'm like, no, I'm legitimately asking, like, not, to be sent these, because I just don't want there being that on the horizon. I wasn't looking for a hookup. You know what I mean? Right. I was like looking for relationships. I wasn't just like, so I'm like, if you're sending them to me and you've never met me, you're clearly going to be sending them to other people. Maybe at this point it's just literally a numbers game.
Right. And is that like her stock nude?
Yeah. Like, which one is this? Is this recent? Is this, how do I know?
Is this the first date one or the third date one?
Yeah.
That's
like, yeah.
I'm sorry.
It was funny. And like one of the, but it happens. I think people, they don't think about it. And in this society, it's like today with like OnlyFans being as prevalent as it is and everything else, it's like, there seems to be less of a care about that. Maybe I'm just like, cause I'm 40. So I'm like, like the prudish generation, prior to the internet. Sort of thing. But like nowadays it's, who knows, and maybe, but again, like it gives perverts, it gives them the opportunity to kind of like just scattershot this shit. And, hopefully somebody, cause again, if it happened to Brit, it happened to others.
Oh, 100%.
And others maybe, acquiesced to the request of watching a video of the intimacy in Chicago,
I can guarantee 100% that there's more than Brittany. 100%. I'd bet my life on it.
Oh
yeah.
There is. Yeah. And
100%.
I know from what I've heard from other people myself, but it's like, that's technically, I guess, hearsay.
Yeah, but
I will say this. After tonight, I was contacted by another one. So that's all I'll say until I see, the receipts. But I was contacted by another one. So.
And I don't have the DJ Khaled drop. Son of a bitch. Another one.
That's crazy. I'm not surprised though. I'm not surprised. And I think people are going to come out of the woodwork. And I think there's going to be people from maybe before, our time on the show. And I think there's going to be more people from when we were there. And I think there'll be people from after. So.
Well, they better come out because my ass is about to be canceled by Andy Signore's community. That's for sure. Because they coming for you, girl. They coming for me. So y'all better come out and speak and save me. Save me.
Let's hope Andy doesn't come for you.
Thank you, Bray. Huh?
Let's just hope Andy doesn't come for you.
Oh, boo, bad joke.
Because you've already seen it and it's already terrible.
Well, it's funny. It's funny because somebody was like, wow, I hope Andy doesn't sue you. I said, God, I hope he does because Discovery is going to be fun as fuck.
Well, that's what I hope. I mean, let him threaten us.
Oh, he's already threatened me. Like, this happened a while ago when I had called him out over the whole blackmail stuff, right? And the rumor through the grapevine, I guess, is that he had talked about, like, trying to crowdfund a defamation lawsuit against me. And I'm all like, for what? Nothing I said wasn't accurate. Right. I have video of you actually saying, do we need to dig up dirt on this guy like we did with this other guy? And it wasn't even me in the chat.
And he would have to prove that what you're saying is a lie. And because he would have the burden of proof. And my thing is like that was one of the reasons why, like, when people are like, oh, when they watched my video and saying, oh, I don't believe her, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, what the hell why would I lie about this? Like, yeah. I would be opening myself up. If I was not telling the truth, then I can kiss everything I have goodbye. Because I guarantee you, he looked into, is this something I can sue over?
Well, and that's the thing. Like, I know I didn't want this kind of attention. I mean, who wants to? Well, I guess people will lie, but.
Well, and Jarbo knows how hard of a time I had in March.
So.
Yeah. But I think, again, without running the risk of running in circles here, we just hope that he stops and owns up to the fact that he's got a lot of problems, and get some help, man. Like, you push it enough on your other fucking channel. Christ, lead by example.
Listen, if you're having girl problems, I feel bad for you, son. I got 99 problems, but 5 inches definitely ain't one.
Oh my God.
Oh my God.
Oh my God.
Isn't that pretty average?
Oh,
I said ain't one.
Ain't one.
Come
okay.
on. Jeez.
So you're saying, I don't know. I'm like, you say that and I'm like, I'm trying to like run through like.
Went over your head, bro.
A little bit. It's getting close to midnight, so it is getting late for me. But
do a subtraction and think of an earthworm. Just saying.
Oh my God. Does it look like a single Diglett from Pokemon? Is that what we're talking about here?
I haven't seen it. I'm just going off of okay. So the person that did watch it, I was given way too many details, and I was like, if anybody ever shows me that, I'm gonna freak out. I do not. I know. No. From the details I got, no, it's very odd. No, thank you. Yes, it's true.
All right. Well, I now know way more about Andy Signore's penis than I did before today. So, you know what? You learned something new, folks. You learned something new. But on that note, I do probably need to end this section because I have a couple more pieces of news to get through, some super chats and stuff. And then I got to call it a night myself because it is getting a little bit late and it's Sunday.
All right. Well, that was fun. Yeah, it is late. I had a crazy ass day and I can't wait for tomorrow because woo-wee, it's going to be fun in the sun, baby.
Yeah, I think you guys, there'd be a very interesting conversation to see the results of.
Oh yeah, I can't wait to do a regular stream so people don't watch because they'll be like, "What about Andy?" I'm be like, "Bro, we won't talk about that till he files a lawsuit, bro."
Yeah, you're like Randy Andy. Oh no.
All right, well, bye everyone. Y'all have a good night.
Yeah,
Thank you,
bye,
Saggy.
having me on.
Bye, guys.
Thank you very
Have a
much,
great
Brittany.
night.
Raven, thank you guys very much. Have yourself a great evening. All right. Thank you very much to the three of them for providing a very in-depth and wildly crazy conversation surrounding Mr. Andy Signore and, of course, the shenanigans of which he has gotten up to. Oh, lordy, lordy, lordy. Couple quick little things to get here. All right, so I did see £5 super chat from Benson. Thank you, sir. Says Pignor makes R. Kelly look like Mr. Rogers. Well done, Saggy, for exposing the pervert. I wonder if him and Speech and Petted Steph got it on. Or impeded Steph. Well, there's a rumor that that's the case, but of course that's a rumor. I have no idea. But thank you for that, Benson. And then Jaro here for $2. Thank you. Says this is insane. I'm sorry. Here is support. Keep it up. Yeah, thank you guys very much for that one. Get the popcorn ready for tomorrow. I don't know what is gonna happen tomorrow. I definitely wanted to make sure that we discussed this, but I wanted to talk about it in a way where we're getting firsthand accounts as much as humanly possible, where things had to be alleged are alleged, and could tell our stories, because I think a lot of people are going to realize just kind of how crazy he is. And so I very much appreciated everyone coming on. I hope I hope tomorrow is not so crazy. Jaro says here he'll monetize. Like he always does. He always does. But here's the thing with that. Eventually, in situations like this, look, even if the biggest, even if fucking PewDiePie talked about this, it really wouldn't matter because his audience is not that involved. Zachary asks, do I think Andy's watching right now? I think Lewis is watching right now, if I'm being honest. I think Lewis is absolutely. But I don't know. I'm sure Andy is fully aware of what's going on tonight, and the fact that his quote unquote haters are all talking publicly about things that he has allegedly done and things that we have seen on video that he has. So it is what it is on that one there. But there was actually, I still had news I wanted to get to tonight. Again, this whole thing went crazy. A couple things I want to get to. We'll move on. I did want to, let's see, Vince here says, most of the Super Big Channel's viewers are pretty casual from what I can tell. Yeah, this guy, Jaro here says, look at his mentions on Twitter. Let me take a look here at his mentions on Twitter. I haven't taken a look. I know somebody was saying something here. He's got one person, this guy, a brand new account called Chewy Lewis, who has been going after him, has been going after people and whatnot. It's all the video. Well, yeah, I've seen a lot of that as well. There's a person doing that, and but again, people are going to argue that it's not real. They're going to argue a bunch of stuff like that. Jared here says Andy's got an aardvark dick. I mean, like I said at the beginning of this thing, it's kind of like, I don't know, man. Dicks are dicks, dude. They don't all. They have weird looks. Anyway, so let's talk about the Bee movie. Did you guys hear about this one, right? The old, I think 2007 Bees. Jerry Seinfeld actually wanted to talk a bit about this. He actually wanted to apologize a little bit because he wanted to finally address the uncomfortable sexual aspect in the Bee movie, saying here that Jerry Seinfeld has issued an apology for an awkward aspect of the Bee movie some 14 years after it premiered in theaters. During an appearance on The Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon, Seinfeld acknowledged what viewers of the Bee movie have long known. There appeared to be subtle hints of a romantic or sexual relationship forming between the bee and the human who make up the film's main two characters, which is so true. I was rewatching that movie again recently with my kids because it was on Netflix and my girlfriend put it on. And you're watching the movie and you're like, dude, the bee and Jerry Seinfeld and Renee Zellweger, they are so going to have sex. They are so getting ready to bone 100%. And it turns out that Jerry here says, I apologize for what seems to be a certain uncomfortable, subtle sexual aspect of the Bee movie, which was really not intentional. After it came out, I realized this is really not appropriate for children. I mean, like, look, at the end of the movie, like, they're living together, right? Like, he's practicing law and, like, they're living together. Mladen here says, even I noticed the sexual aspect in the B movie. It was there, dude. It was absolutely there. Plusha here says, interspecies romances are gross. Yep. Zachary here says, a sexual relationship between a bee and a human. Well, I thought I heard it all. Have you not seen a bee movie, Zachary? Oh, dude, go on Netflix. I'm pretty sure it's on there still. And go watch that. Shiny here is like, there was this, what? The bee movie was innocent. Go back and watch that again. It is so there. Anyway, Seinfeld went on to explain that although unintentional, certain aspects of both B-Movie's plot and the character's development made it appear as if an inappropriate relationship was formed between his character, the honeybee named Barry B. Benson, and Renee Zellweger's character, a human woman named Vanessa Bloom. The bee seems to have a thing for the girl. Seinfeld said of the animated movie, we don't really want to pursue that as an idea in children's entertainment. And I mean, yeah, Rational here says, just imagine the bee flying inside her. Exactly. How would that even happen? Would he just like, I mean, look, if we're going to be honest here about the anatomy of a bee and the anatomy of a human female, or human who is, I don't even know, whatever. The only way that it would work, literally, the only way that it would work would be if the bee was able to do the buzzing, right, on one certain part of her body, right? That rhymes with Dolores. And if you get that deep Seinfeld reference, I love you. But that would be the case. That'd be the only way. Barry B. Benson would have to get down there and be all like, vaginas? What's a vagina? What's the deal with vagina? He would get stuck in the hair. It'd be terrible. But of course, that would be the thing. Jess here says, I have to watch the B movie. Yeah, you should. You should check it out. Alex here saying, hey, now The Shape of Water made it work. That is true. But that was with a monster, a fish monster, and a woman. And I don't know how they made it work. We didn't get explicit instructions. But there's that. Ah, yes. Mulva? There you go. That's a great episode. Anyway, so there you go. Jerry Seinfeld apologizes for the uncomfortable sexual aspect in a B movie. I might have to clip that out and make it its own video. Moving on, Indiana Jones. We're finally going to be getting a teaser or a full trailer for Indiana Jones 5 in the next month, according to James Mangold. It is most likely coming out at the release or for the release of, Avatar: The Way of Water. Obviously, Disney's going to want to push it. I don't know if it's going to be the teaser that they showed at D23, which did leak online. I did watch it. It looked amazing. It looks so good. Can't wait to watch it. I have a feeling it's going to be that. I had a feeling that's what's going to be happening with it. And then, of course, James Mangold did what James Gunn. They're doing God's work. They're doing the Lord's work here. Let me explain. So the other day, somebody came to me and they asked me, hey, Matt, have you heard this rumor about there being test screenings for Indiana Jones 5? And they're terrible. They're terrible. Nobody likes them. They're god-awful. It's garbage. It's woke nonsense. And I'm just like, no, I didn't fucking hear this, for one. But two, I've already seen the trailer, the teaser, and it looked great. It's like, what the hell's going on? Well, it turns out I'm not the only one who's asking that question. And what we found here is a guy named Gus asks James Mangold, have there been test screenings on Indy 5 yet? Rumors are flying. James Mangold pulls a James Gunn, responds, nope, haven't been any screenings at all. Then this guy named Paolo says, no, but you're wrong. Basement Dweller 46 said that Kathleen Kennedy, or KK, personally replaces Indiana Jones with a woman in the movie, and the test audiences hate it. And then Mangold, perfect James Mangold fashion, says, whoa, Paolo, it's up to you who to believe. An anonymous troll named Basement Dweller or Doomcock, or the actual director of the film. No one will ever replace Indiana Jones, not in any script, not in any cut, never discussed. You've got to love that, because that is, in fact, coming off of a Doomcock rumor. That's very much a Doomcock rumor. This is a situation where what you have is once again, he's running his mouth over things and people are believing it. And they're taking that out into the world. They're taking that out into the other, parts of the internet. And I'm pretty sure Bounding Into Comics has written about it. I don't know for certain, but if I had to guess, if I had to assume, if I had to ponder or speculate or suggest, it would definitely be that. And obviously in this particular situation, James Mangold is saying, no, the only person who's indie is indie. No test screenings have happened yet. We're going to be seeing the trailer here pretty soon, and don't believe a guy named Doomcock. And just recently, I talked about this in a video last month about how Doomcock had gotten laughed at, made fun of by the writers of She-Hulk, and how apparently he liked it, how apparently he really, really liked it. Well, I'd like to just remind people that, when asked about little old me, this is what he had to say.
Super Crazy with a $5 super chat. Thank you, Super Crazy. Says, what do you think of Matt Jarbo from $3 Theater? Would you debate him? No comment. Super Crazy. No comment.
No comment, Super Crazy. No comment. Why does Doomcock not want to debate me? Because I bring facts, logic, and information and can poke holes in his otherwise idiotic sounding voice. That's what he is. He knows he's a faker. He knows he's a liar. He knows he just makes this shit up. And when Star Wars dunked on him, when everyone else has laughed at him, when none of his scoops came true like Mike Zero, he ended up at that point having to go away for a while. Went to Star Trek. That ended up blowing up in his face. Thanks, Ketwalski. And then from there, he's just still now just trying to run whatever, because his audience is stupid. His audience has the attention span and memory of a gnat. And that, of course, is just the most ridiculous thing that we can even remotely talk about. So, look, thank you to James Mangold. Thank you to James Gunn. Thank you to any creative, any person in the industry that is starting to stand up to this nonsense, this anti-fan nonsense that is causing people to literally lose their minds over things they have not seen yet. And that is exactly why we need to request that more people come out and debunk this shit. And I know that Grace Randolph was complaining about it the other day by saying with James Gunn, well, nobody ever talks about his stuff, and that just cuts down on the online speculation or the online chatter. Look, you can have online chatter about this. I don't care if Doomcock says that that there are rumors out there that Indiana Jones is being replaced by Phoebe Waller-Bridge and it's going to be Indiana Jane or whatever it is. But he goes, this is just a rumor and I don't really believe it. What he does is he goes, oh, I have my anonymous spies within the industry and they are going to tell me what's going on. He puts on this performance that causes his audience to believe that he is hearing something from a third party, which he is then verifying and he is validating and he is confirming that we know is just bullshit. It's just a lie. It's just another fallacy. And that, of course, is the biggest problem when it comes to these kind of movies. I really want more people to say something about it. And I think we as a collective could fundamentally nip this stuff in the bud if we all just stood up at once and shouted all of that shit down and asked these creatives to finally step up and knock these snake oil salesmen off their fucking pedestal, because that's the only way we're going to be able to go into this stuff and not have it either tainted or ruined by knuckle dragging, mouth breathing morons who just do it to score a quick buck at the expense of actual fans. But that's just, that's just me. Anyway, Garrick here with a $5 super chat asking, what do you think of people like EBS attacking Kevin Smith over crying? Well, it's funny you mentioned that, Garrick, because that was the next thing I wanted to talk about here. So Kevin Smith, as I've said, is my personal hero. I absolutely adore this guy. I love his work. Not everything knocks it out of the park. Not everything is great. Not everything is grand. But man, I love his authenticity. I love his honesty. And I love the fact that he allows himself to get hyped. I love the fact that he allows himself to get invested into this stuff. I love that he allows himself to be a fan in a world where he is privy to the conversations of what's going on. He is aware of how the industry operates. He knows how these particular things play out. He absolutely knows all of that. And he is still finding himself in the position of where he is going to just get completely sucked into that particular mindset. He's going to allow himself to get into that. And I think that, to me, that is something that we need more of. I think we need more people to embrace their emotion, to embrace their feelings. Look, here's the way I see it, man. When you embrace your emotions, you actually like learn like to not fear them. And the biggest problem is that people out there fear their emotions. People on the internet fear their emotions. These men fear their emotions because they were taught, probably through fatherless homes, to never actually embrace their emotions. In fact, Ethan Van Sciver came on out and he said, this guy cries at superhero movies and takes out his phone to take a selfie of himself crying at superhero movies and then posts them to Twitter. He's responsible for other males like Mundane Matt thinking it's okay to cry at trivial shit on the internet. It's bizarre. So he's taking a shot at me, for one, and two, fuck EVS for that shit. All right. Like, whether or not I get fucking emotional watching a movie means that the movie has technically done its job. Right. If you're writing something and people, have a strong reaction to it, if you evoke a certain kind of emotion, then that means that you're definitely going to be impacted by the work that they've done. I mean, I've never read Cyberfrog, but if someone out there got super emotionally invested in a Cyberfrog or characters contained within the world that you've created, and then you kill one off and they feel emotion, they feel sadness, they feel pain, their cortisol, levels rise, and it brings them to tears, I'm not going to fucking mock them over it, dude. Why would I mock them over it? They felt something. They experienced something. It wasn't just apathy or nihilism or cynicism. You know what I mean? Like, too many times, especially men on the internet, feel this need to go like, you're not a real man if you express emotions. You're not a real man if you're out there feeling things like a poofter. If you're out there like a bundle of sticks, man, you ain't feeling nothing, man. Just, alpha mindset, grind. It's stupid shit. It's utterly ridiculous. When the kind of people that EBS has for an audience are some of the biggest crybaby cucks I've ever encountered on the fucking platform. Right? Even people like Heel versus Babyface is just called Kevin Smith a pathetic manlet. And I responded by saying, don't you cry every time a woman or minority is cast in a show? Because they do. Everything that they do, every time you have She-Hulk do something in She-Hulk that the Hulk would have done, or she did it faster than the Hulk, they cry a foul. They cry it woke. They call it woke. They say that it's just the MCU. They get up there and they get teary-eyed and they get upset. And what do you mean she's not That's what they do. They sound like sniveling little 2-year-olds. He took away their baba. My fucking 3-year-old, dude, we were hanging out. She fucking fell off the bed and she cut her face open. Had to go get 3 stitches in her face. Didn't cry at all during the procedure. Did not cry at all. Had blood down her face. Took it like a champ. My 3-year-old has more fucking balls and probably more testosterone than these dudes that are just afraid of their own fucking emotions. Because that's what it boils down to here, guys. It does. It boils down to these are men. These are grown men who perform and provide angertainment in the form of anti-woman, anti-minority, full-on bigotry, because they're afraid of how they feel. They're afraid of being replaced. They're afraid of this idea that someone like Jen Walters is going to come in and take away their precious Hulk. Never going to happen. But they think that's what's going to happen. They get upset at dudes like Kevin Smith that go and watch a movie like Black Panther, a literal movie that's like a 3-hour fucking funeral. And he had a lot of emotions while watching the movie. And he embraced those emotions. And they brought out the tears. They brought out those emotions, and he took a selfie and he showcased that he had emotions while watching this movie. And you know what? A lot of other people out there really seem to like it. He actually says here, cryrony. When total strangers cry about my crying. You've never clearly watched a Kevin Smith review of like a movie like that. You've clearly never paid attention to Kevin Smith and how he does stuff. But these are the guys who ran out there for like a year and some change. And they're like, He-Man Masters of the Universe Revelations is just woke nonsense, you guys. It's just woke Sheila show, or it's the Tila show, blah, blah, blah. And then the show was fucking fire. The show was really good. And all they could do is tear it down. That's who they are. Kevin Smith crying actually makes him more of a man than you guys. Anyone who is upset or triggered by Kevin Smith crying while watching Black Panther Wakanda Forever clearly doesn't care about what the movie was trying to say. I didn't cry at it either, but I still got the messaging that it was trying to say. I got the pain, and I got the anger, and I got the anguish. I got the frustration that Ryan Coogler and the company were trying to put on the screen following the very untimely death of Chadwick Boseman. But these guys are probably upset that Shuri became Black Panther for the last 20 minutes of the fucking movie. And that's what they were upset about. And I look forward to the Mahler review, where that's what he's going to spend the vast majority of his 8-hour diatribe about that film, talking about how she never went through any training. Why was she Black Panther all of a sudden? Yada, 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 because it's all they have. All they have is humorless, vindictive, angry nonsense. But they get mad at a guy who embraces his own emotions and shares it and shows, guess what? He's not afraid to have emotions. People give me shit for crying when I got my silver play button. Hell yeah, I cried when I got my silver play button. That's 100,000 subs on YouTube. Will I ever get that again? Fuck if I know. But I got it one time. I got it 6 years ago, and I'm looking at it right now on my wall. And yes, I cried when I read that form letter because of what that letter, it doesn't matter if it was just copy paste, but what that letter and what was underneath that letter absolutely signified for me as a person. And you know other movies I've cried at? I've cried at a bunch of movies. I cried at Simon Birch. I fucking cried at Warhorse. I cried at Godzilla 1985. I cried at fucking Terminator 2. I've cried at a bunch of movies over the years because guess what? If your movie is trying to strike an emotional chord and it strikes that emotional chord, then the movie has done its fucking job. And the last thing that I want to do is teach my children to hide and fear their emotions. Because when you hide in fear of what you feel and you don't properly express it, or you don't properly let it out of you, you know what it does? It bubbles. Right? It bubbles to the surface. It pops out in very weird ways. You ever look at those guys who get mad about this and ask yourself, how often are these guys angry? And why are they always angry? Why are they always upset? Well, now you know. Because they're so deathly afraid of their own emotions. They're absolutely terrified of what might happen if they feel something and look at themselves in the mirror. Will they call themselves a bundle of sticks? Will they call themselves pussies? Will they call themselves cowards? Will they go after themselves on that front because they have no actual frame of reference for positive manifestation in the understanding of emotions? The answer to that is probably no. They don't have any of that frame of reference. They probably have none of it. Because they're broken individuals. Kevin Smith is not a broken individual. Kevin Smith knows who he is. He knows what he wants, and he doesn't give a shit. The funny thing is, you care. You care because you are a fucking coward, and you don't know how to process your emotions, and it comes out in the most stupid and idiotic ways. And of course, those are just my thoughts on it. Let me know what you have to think. So let's talk about Black Panther. All right, let's talk about Black Panther here. Okay, so Black Panther came out this week and did $330 million globally with a $180 million domestic debut. God damn. Now, look, I have criticized this movie. I think they should have recast T'Challa. I've said exactly why I feel that. I've been flamed a lot by people on social media about it. I think it's pretty funny. But at the same time, I still think they should have done it. And I don't care. That's my take on the movie. I still sat down. I still watched it. I still enjoyed it. I'll probably watch it again when it drops on Disney+. Tonight, I watched Doctor Strange 2 again, and we started watching Thor: Love and Thunder again. And I really enjoyed Doctor Strange 2 a lot more the second time. And I'm looking forward to watching Thor again in order to really dive into it. And to be able to process everything that Taika Waititi was trying to do, good, bad, or the other. And I'll do the same thing to Wakanda Forever when it comes out on Disney Plus in 45 days. But in the meantime, people are flocking to this movie. They like the movie. I don't, but that's okay. They like it quite a bit. But what's really funny is the way that our media operates is instead of looking at Black Panther Wakanda Forever and going, you know what? This movie has done well. This movie has done very well. Collider puts out this article here. Black Adam passes $350 million at global box office. Right? Because look, there's a lot of fluff for Black Adam. There's a lot of fluff coming out for that movie. Still, here it is a month after its release, and they're still trying to prop it up. The movie did do okay this weekend. It did pop up about, what was it? It did about $8.5 million compared to the 180 million that, that it did, it did a little less than 5% of what Black Panther did this weekend, but still, it's like when Avengers Endgame came out and Captain Marvel was still in theaters, and that was number 2 with $10 million, right? So it still pulled in some money. Why? Because there were a lot of people that were probably trying to go see certain showings of Wakanda Forever, given the length of the film, and they maybe weren't able to get in because it was sold out. So they decided to go see something else that was out, and it was also significantly shorter, and that would be Black Adam. But the movie did actually go on to gross domestic or worldwide $20 million less in 3 days than Black Adam has done in 4 weeks. To me, that's not super significant. That's not super funny, but it is interesting because The Rock, who had been silent up until this point about James Gunn and Peter Safran taking over DC, he's been silent about what's going on with Henry Cavill. Hiram Garcia is still in the news talking about Atom Smasher, more plans for him. But The Rock did tweet this out today, saying a huge congratulations to the entire Black Panther team at Marvel Studios, at Disney Studios. Biggest opening ever for the month of November. That's a lot of happy moviegoers around the world. Beautiful. Can't wait to see the movie. Hashtag, or signed really, Black Adam, which it might just be, look, maybe I'm just being a little bit of a dick here. It does come across as if it's being very much the, what's the word I want to use here? It's being like, he's being a little bit fun. He's being a little bit playful, everything like that. It's a good businessman move, but I think a lot of us understand really what this is. A lot of us know that it's, look, I'm going to catch a lot of crap for saying this. I'm just going to say it anyway. The Rock's plans for Black Adam, The Rock's plans for the future of the hierarchy of power in the DCU, they've changed. They're no longer The Rock's. They're now James Gunn, Peter Safran's. That's not what he wanted. What he wanted, in my opinion, is he wanted his former brother-in-law, Hiram Garcia, of whom he's been trying to make a household name for a while, to come on in to having taken over DC, which would then basically, by default, put The Rock in charge of DC, albeit indirectly. He would have a say in everything. He absolutely would. We all know that. I think it's stupid to suggest otherwise. Black Adam was, and again, in my opinion, the last chance The Rock has at launching a franchise that's literally all his own. Yes, it's contained within a larger world, but still it would be all his own. And while this movie did do well in bringing in Man of Steel and the Suicide Squad and other elements of the DCEU at large, it still failed to really turn heads. It did okay. It did about on par with most of The Rock's movies, without China being the asterisk I feel I have to add, because there will be a lot of people that are just going to go, but Matt, what about China? China is always one of those angles, always one of those things. Well, no, I know China is one of those things, but still, China hasn't been involved in any of this for quite some time, so we have to remove them from the equation. The reality of it is, Black Adam is probably going to end its global run with about $420 million, which again is on par for the kind of movies The Rock does, where he doesn't have an ensemble or part of a larger franchise. That's just the reality of it. So my take on it is the media is still trying to build up and bolster Black Adam a little bit, when they probably should, start helping The Rock put on a better face so he can then meet with Kevin Feige and make his way over to the MCU, which, look, I hate to say it, but at this point, that, my friends, is the inevitability. The inevitability is Zaslav is going with James Gunn. And if James Gunn can find a way to make it work with The Rock in order to bring Black Adam and do more with that, then they're going to do that. But everything from the Batman on down is underneath DC Studios. It's underneath James Gunn and Peter Safran's purview. Gunn has confirmed it, and The Rock still has not said congratulations to those two guys publicly, and that is the larger problem. So I think that there is some credence to the rumor that the two parties have not seen eye to eye, that there is some bad blood, and now he's out there propping up, Black Panther Wakanda Forever, all without ever seeing the movie, which is fine. He's just giving props. It goes to show you that once again, we're going to hear reports that The Rock has met with Kevin Feige, because that happened before, right around the time Black Adam was confirmed to happen. So it is what it is. It is what it is. Ralph Double Tits here says, of course, Jarbo would spin this into a negative since his hate boner for The Rock was all the way to Jupiter. It's not a hate boner, dude. I'm talking about it, man. I'm talking about it right now. I'm absolutely talking about what's been going on. This is just, I think it's pretty funny. That's just where we find ourselves. I'm sorry. It's so true, you guys. It's so true. All right. So that's what I got story-wise for tonight. I know that, let me go and find that here. I'm going to play this real quick. Did you guys see, I did have this brought up, but I didn't bring it up because we were already running so far behind. Find this one here. Did you guys see this today? The Spider-Verse joins the MCU, this video that was put together by a group called Corridor Digital that introduced different Spider-Mans into the MCU. Let's check this out.
Are you okay?
I think so.
Are you from another dimension?
Well, it's a long story, but I'll make it quick. All right, let's do this one last time. My name's Peter Parker. I was bitten by a radioactive spider, and for 6 years, I've been the one and only Spider-Man. Well, I was dead for 5 of those years, but that's another story. I saved a bunch of people, fell in love, saved the city, and then the world. I even joined a team. You might have heard of them.
Nah, not them.
There was Captain America. Also, we had Hulk, Thor, Black Widow, Scarlet Witch, Doctor Strange, Black Panther, Ant-Man, Falcon, the Winter Soldier, Vision, and, that guy with the bow and arrow.
And I'll never forget my mentor, Mr. Stark.
What else? Oh, there was this big purple guy. His chin kind of looked like...
Huh? Oh.
Who are these guys?
Pizza time.
Oh, here we go.
Not again.
Who are you guys anyway?
I gotta say, you look just like me.
Say my name and I magically appear. Who's next?
I'm gonna put some dirt in your eye. Is this still part of the experiment?
Spider-Man!
Beware my tasty hostess snacks!
Look, that's cool as shit. All right. Like, that's cool as shit. I really think that's pretty amazing. And even Chris Lord, who was an executive producer on Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse and the new upcoming films, absolutely commented on this today and was like, holy shit about it. So that, my friends, is pretty freaking cool. And you just have to give a lot of credit to those guys for putting that together. And I don't know how the fuck they did it. I wish that I knew how they did that kind of stuff, but I don't, because I'm pretty terrible when it comes to all forms of animation. So that's just, that is just me on that one right there. But all right, let us get into the last little thing here. And that is let's see. Command Unit here did ask to take a look at this Dark Tide Psyker class spotlight. It is from a video game, so it is very much from a video game. And if you guys have any final things you want to touch on or talk about, put them in the chat right now. If not, I'll be probably going to bed, except for midnight here. So let's go from here.
So many voices.
We're here to do the jobs others can't handle.
I should have known the enforcers would not tolerate me forever.
My skills they valued, but my nature they despise.
Such power! I was a convenience. I can't control it!
And all of it asking nothing in return.
That I brought the guilty to the penitent's pyre was my reward.
Reaching into the wall.
Big on for my tree!
I want to play this. Jesus Christ.
Faster than you did.
Nice. Oops, get that off the screen there. That looks pretty cool, man. That's pretty sweet. I think it's on Steam and on Windows, so it's not on that one there. All right, Rational's right. Yeah, I forgot you had sent. I see that. I forgot to click on the thing. What is it you sent? What is it you sent me though? That's what I want to know here. Can we take a look at the quick game trailer you DM'd me? I didn't even look to see what it is yet. Hold on. I got to double check what this one is. What is this here? You know what, dude? Let's watch this tomorrow because I have to go to the bathroom real bad, so I'm going to end it. So, yeah, I got it in the DM. We'll check it out tomorrow. Okay? We'll do that then. But I got to go. That's what it is. Anyway, so on that note, everybody, I do appreciate everyone coming in and hanging out for this conversation tonight. It was definitely a wild ride. We had a lot of interesting people popping in to hang out and give their story about when pop culture justice goes wrong. And so, as always, guys, if you know anything, if you've heard anything about Mr. Signore and the things that he has supposedly done, feel free to step forward, not to me, but to saggy other people. And it's always a good way to come out and expose somebody who is trying to abuse the privilege that they have and the power that they have over others. All right, everybody. This has been another episode of Hollywood After Dark. I'll talk to you guys tomorrow night. Thanks again. Have a great evening, everybody, and peace the fuck out.